Evening. Oh, how's everybody doing? I'm back for a rare live stream, a last minute job. Sorry about the late notice, but big thank you to Billy, who's making his debut on the channel, and Scott and Guy for coming on at the last minute. Much appreciated, guys. Hope you're all doing well. People in the chat, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And yeah, just get involved. With what we're talking about. We've got some questions for you, the Frank Dossier. So yeah, there's a lot to get into. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to cover it all. I've got about an hour and a half. So look, we'll make a good start anyway. So look, let's welcome in the guests. Billy, how you doing, mate? How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, man. Absolute pleasure to be on. It was my birthday weekend this weekend, so never have Spurs playing the birthday. Luckily, I wasn't there. I wasn't barely half watching. I was with my daughter, but I just thought to myself, I'm not going to let these guys ruin a birthday. So, and of course they did.
Fucking ruined it, mate. Jesus.
Yeah, as always.
Oh dear, mate. Anyway, thanks for coming on, mate. Much appreciated. And when was it your birthday yesterday?
10th, yeah, on the day of the actual game, yeah.
Oh, mate, that's
happy
horrible,
birthday,
man.
nonetheless.
Oh, that's terrible, man.
What a birthday present.
What a bad birthday, man. What did you do, man? Did you just get smashed?
No, I just stayed with my daughter, which was much better than watching Spurs. So there you go.
Sensible. That's a sensible one. Oh, good. Fair play, man. Guy, mate, how are you? And after what you told me yesterday, mate, bloody hell.
What a game. Yeah, no, I went to the game. Unfortunately, I changed my seat from the south stand to the north stand because I thought it would be less toxic if we lose. I was wrong. Our Spurs kids can chant some really offensive stuff, and they were booing. They were booing before anyone else was. So the kids of Spurs, we're talking like under 10s. They've had enough. Even they've had enough. And yeah, afterwards, some Villa fans tried to start something, but you know, we ended it.
You didn't get arrested.
I didn't get arrested, but the 5 Villa fans did. So,
well, I'm glad you're all right, mate. Thanks for coming on. And Scott,
it's a pleasure,
how
mate.
you doing, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Luckily for me, I'm at the age now where birthdays I don't. I try to kind of just get through it. So, but commiserations with Billy that he had his birthday on this weekend, and we couldn't do much better. I would have thought that the Villa fans would have just been able to point at the scoreboard and been happy and walked away. But I guess sometimes people just want to be angry and cause trouble for nothing. But I think it's kind of fitting that we're all starting out talking about stuff not really related to what happened on the pitch, because I'm not sure. As much as we're all here for that, we might want to delay it because what happened on the pitch was pretty.
Oh, mate.
There's lots to talk about, but I'm not sure we want to. So.
Yeah. Cheers, Scott, mate. Yeah, it's a tough time, man, being a Spurs fan. And look, big up to everyone in the chat. Let's go and say a few hellos and see who's with us tonight. Big up to Mark. Big up, guys. Dan, Emmett. How you doing, Mark? Hope you're well, buddy. Big up to Barbarian. How you doing, man? Good evening, gents. Scott M is signing of the season. Smash the likes and sub, please. Thank you so much, mate. Hope you're good. Mark saying, Scott M, tell him all these players are terrible. He will be. There's no doubt about that, man. That's the first question of the evening. Big up to Josh. How you doing, man? Thank you for joining us. Evening, chaps. Big up, mate. How you doing as well? How's the lads? Are we all good, man? How you doing, buddy, mate? I hope you're good, man. Hope you're good. Thank you for joining us. Look, let's go to Billy first, because obviously he's got some important information to share. Like, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people know already, but it's so important to get the message out about the protest on next weekend, isn't it, Billy, before the West Ham game?
Yes, mate. Next Saturday. Yes, it is. So I know obviously there's been all kinds of talk about Levy and Enoch, as we might dive into a little bit in a minute, but it seems like we were promised more false promises. I've always been really skeptical about the new Lewis family, whether it is actually a new family, whether it's the same old. I think, what are we now? We are 11 days into a transfer window with no confirmed signings yet. We've gone into 2 Premier League games with a weaker squad. We've gone out the FA Cup with a weaker squad. So I think it's same old, mate. So we've been inundated with messages asking, is there going to be a protest in January? Yeah, there is. And if anyone would like to join us and protest against the Lewis family and ENIC, I don't like that rebrand, by the way, how they're trying to change their name. They're still ENIC, let's be honest. We will be protesting at the West Ham game, both before the game and during the game in the stadium as well at the beginning. So, yeah, all the support we get from channels like this is massively appreciated. And Spurs have last season we've been going through struggles. We protested in big numbers last season, and time to do it again, I think, because I don't know what you guys think, but for me, nothing's really changed.
No, I agree. I'll be there. I'm not going to the game. No way. I'm not spending any more money on this. I'm not. I'm done. But I'll come to the protest, mate.
Legend. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing it before the game as well, because we had quite a few people get in touch said they don't want to go to the game. Loads of our members and loads of people that you guys speak to. I've had enough now, and you're seeing that in the stadium by it being the struggling for tickets all the time. So yeah, I think lots of people have had enough, and so have we.
Oh, look, it's so important, guys. I encourage anybody, match-going fans, to protest, and it's the only way. We've got to make a stand. Yeah, we really do. It's so important, man. ENIC, they haven't changed. The start of this transfer window, the business should have been in. They should have been making bids for players. We should know what's going on. And at the moment, we're looking at signing a 19-year-old Brazilian left back, which is it's just such a bad move, right? And I've got nothing against the lad at all. It's not his fault. But if you're going to make a signing like that, you've got to get it at the end of the window. Once you've got all the top players in, not a good start. But cheers, Billy. For is there any other finer details about that yet? Or
so if you look on social media this week, we're gonna get all the information sorted this week by tomorrow. So have a look on there. And but anyone for joining us, it will be right before kickoff at the West Ham game, just outside Beavertown Pub. We're going to take the banners, going to get some anti-Levy songs or anti-ENIC songs, I should say. And hoping to send a message, because everything that we were promised that this is a new era, I think already they've shown nothing's really changed.
Nah, it hasn't, man. It's it's the same old, isn't it? What a terrible start to the season. Well, not start to the season, halfway through the season, mate. It is absolutely shocking what's going on at our club, man. It's so sad to see. I did a video yesterday, man. I know Scott's seen it, but sad, man. I feel so sad, man, about this club. And I had quite a lot of hopes for the season, but it just looks like it's the same old issues. Who's to blame? Well, you can put that blame in so many different areas. So look, let's start off with a bit of and big up to Josh as well. He said he's going to be there at the protest. Cheers, Josh. Thank you so much. And look, let's start off with that old question. Let's get it out of the way early. Yeah, because I want to talk a lot about Thomas Frank. So look, are Spurs failing because of Thomas Frank, or is it more to do with the squad is not good enough? Now, let's do this in a kind of percentage split. So how much is it the manager and how much is the players? And then people in the chat as well, you can put your percentages in. And then we'll just go around the panel.
I'll go last. On this one, because I want to hear from other people.
Let's go to Billy first. But Billy, what's your thoughts on this question?
It's a tough one to start off with. It's a tricky debate, I think. For me, I think the biggest percentage will be the people above both of them. I think Thomas Frank is a big problem. I think the biggest problem is definitely Levy, ENIC, the Lewis family, Vinay. I think the club run at board level is absolutely shocking at the moment. I think that it's been confirmed by Ornstein today that Paratic is leaving at the end of the window. Like, we've gone into a transfer window of no plan, no players. So I think while I think Thomas Frank and the players are both problems, I think the bigger percentage will come above them. But in answer to the question, for me, I think the second half yesterday showed that I think these capable, when the handbrake's off, I think there's some talent in this squad. And we saw people like Odegaard and Tell, Xavi Simons in particular, when the handbrake's off, they're really flying forward at Aston Villa. And I kind of get the impression, I don't know what you guys think, but I kind of get the impression that the players sort of took it upon themselves in that second half. I don't think Thomas Frank told them to go out and do that. I just think they've had enough playing this way. having said that, I think there's plenty of work to do in the playing squad. The squad is nowhere near good enough. If you look at the likes of the clubs that we're supposed to be competing with, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, we're absolutely miles behind them in terms of player squad. We've got a host of teenagers in the squad, Bergvall, Tell, Odegaard, and they're all promising youngsters, but they have to be mixed with more experience. My answer to the question, I think I'm going to go for 65% Thomas Frank, 35% players. I think Thomas Frank has made pretty much every decision you can get wrong. I don't see a single glimmer of hope from him being manager. I don't like the way that he plays football. I don't like the way that I think the job is too big for him. I don't like the way he's coming out in press conferences and slating the fans here and there. So I'll put Thomas Frank at the majority, and the players also have a share of responsibility. But for me, that doesn't tell the full story, because what's going on above them is also a shambles. We're a shambles at every level, essentially.
We are. No, that's good, man. You've done well to come up with that percentage quite quickly, man. Fair enough. Let's go to Scott, and I'd love to hear what he's going to say on this one.
Well, I'll start off by saying, Billy is right. I want to make sure that people out there hear, because we're only talking the percentage for players and Frank. I think we all agree that there's a big percentage for people above. So when people get mad and say, "Hey, you didn't blame Enoch," well, we're not doing that at this point. We're just talking about players and Frank. So let's get that out there first. We all know, I think, or I should. I've only heard Guy a little bit, so I might be wrong, but I think most of us would probably.
Oh no! I'm fully on board with this man up here. I've supported his cause. Like every protest, when this man talks, I listen, because he knows a lot more than I do about
I just didn't want to speak for you, Guy. That's all. I just didn't want to speak.
It's all good, mate.
And it's interesting the guy said he wanted to hear two perspectives, because Dan, that my percentages are going to be quite different from Billy. Just thinking about it off the top of my head, I would say about 80% players, 20% Frank.
Wow.
I think that there is things that Frank has done wrong. I think most of the things that I don't necessarily agree with him, and you've heard me say it before, if Frank has two options and all the options are bad, I have a hard time blaming him for that. If the options are bad, it makes a different bad choice than I would have made. It's hard for me to blame him for that. So, for example, if he's saying I'm going to play Tell or Odegaard on the left wing, I think they're both terrible options. I'm not going to get too upset about it. However, when you're going to say I can play Paulinho or Gray and you play Gray, that's terrible. That's not on the board. That's not on the players. That's on him making poor choices. And I think he's done that too often. I think he too often plays Bergvall, Sarr, and Gray over Bentancur. I don't really love Bentancur and Paulinho as a pair. I would rather them upgraded, but for the options that we have, I think that's clearly the best option. And too often we've made bad choices there. So that's my biggest gripe with him, is I think that he has too often played younger players that aren't ready for the Premier League. I understand if you say you want to give him a chance, but Gray has repeatedly shown he's not ready for the Premier League. Bergvall, to me, has shown he's not ready for the top level of the Premier League, maybe bottom level. Okay. So I think that's where my criticism comes in for Frank. So he's not completely devoid of blame. He takes blame, but this team is performing to the level where I would expect them to perform. These players aren't good enough. We hear that they should be better, but I don't think that they are. I think when we see terrible performances and no chances created, that's because we have very few players on our team that can actually do that can create chances, that can do that can play better. I think going into the season, I said 8th to 10th if everything went right, and everything hasn't gone right. So when we're 14th now, it's not where I think we should be, but I'm not surprised, because when you have a team that's at the level we are, you're going to get inconsistent performances. And that's what you see from clubs like Fulham, like Brentford, like Bournemouth, teams that we normally think that we're Crystal Palace. Is if you go back and look at them, that's what they have, right? Sometimes they move up to 8th in the table. Sometimes they drop down to 14th because they have inconsistent players because they're not good enough. And I think as much as we don't like it, we're at the level where we might be better than Fulham. We might be better than Palace in terms of a squad, but not by much.
We're better than Brentford. Are we better than Brentford, Scott?
We're probably better than their squad, but not by much. And I think their squad, the way that it's put together, makes a lot more sense than us. We have more individual talents, but when you look at how our squad is put together, it's so poorly put together. It's a mishmash of players that don't fit in a certain system, where at least Brentford has players that have been bought for the way that they want to do. And that's kind of what we talk about with Frank and Brentford, right? Was it Frank or was it the Brentford system? Well, the one thing that Brentford seems to do with all their signings is buy players that fit the way they want to do. And we don't do that at all, which again, I'm not blaming the players or Frank for that. That's a conversation for above. But to me, from what I've seen, the reason why we're in 14th is largely because we have a squad that is closer to 14th than it is to 6th, if that's where we're going to say our top 4 for sure.
So Frank, in your eyes, is not doing a lot wrong.
I don't think he's doing a lot right either, though. So let's get that. Like, I think if you said what kind of job he's doing, I would maybe give him a 4 out of 5 out of 10. Like, I don't think he's doing much wrong, but I certainly don't think he's doing much right either. I think that part kind of sometimes gets lost when people hear me say, I don't think that he's the main fault. I also don't think he's doing a heck of a lot right. So I think he's done at best a okay job, and I don't even think I think it's a little less than okay. I can't think of a better word. There's probably a word between bad and okay. That's where I would put him.
Fair enough, man. The Thomas Frank conversation will be continuing throughout this stream.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be we're going to go back and forth a bit, but I don't want to get stuck. So let's move it along. I want to hear from Guy now.
Yeah, I'll be quite succinct because every stream I go on, I always caveat that I think that this squad has 5, 6s, and 7s, and 7s at their best. We're talking like Kudos, etc., etc., etc. Here's the problem. I put the picture of Frank in, right? I don't just see him as someone who just picks the team and does the in-game management, right? So he also does the coaching, and I'm seeing no improvement on any player. I'm not seeing any attacking football. And I called him the gaslighter, right? He says, I like aggressive pressing. I like to play on the front foot. I like to dominate the midfield. Well, all 3 of those don't happen. I'm sorry, they just don't happen, right? We're the least press-resistant team in the league. Now, if we're going off a percentage, I'm going to go 70% Frank, 30% the players. And the reason I say that is because I've seen these players have shining light, right? I've seen these players pull it off. But the problem is, if it comes to the overall performances, and here's the thing, I am not disappointed in the players, but I'm seeing that the players are getting more and more frustrated with every game. We saw that at the last game. I was there. I don't know how the fight started. So if anyone knows exactly what happened at the end of the match, I don't know, right? Because when you're so far up, you don't see it. But what I'm seeing is our fans are constantly booing them. Our fans are constantly being toxic in the stadium. Like, even the away game, I went to Crystal Palace, there were still boos and we won. But we played poorly. So I'm going to go 70% Frank on this. And the only reason I say that is because he's heading up a whole team that should be coaching these players to progress the passes forward. I can't see any improvement in passing. And it's football basics, right? We think about it. What's the 3 ways to beat a press? Dribbling past it? We've got no dribblers. I agree on that one, right? Pass through it? We don't, right? Or we ping it over. And we don't do that either. And when we do it, Pedro Porro tries, but his passing is poor now. It's poor. So I understand that, yeah, our players are not good. But I'm sorry, from my perspective, seeing them, I've seen no improvement as a whole team. And that's why I'm like 70-30 on it.
Fair, mate. Very fair. People in the chat, what's your percentages? Manager, player? You're making some great comments in the chat, but what is the actual percentages? I just want to kind of gauge the people watching tonight. Got 43 watching. Percentage-wise, manager, player. Just interested. Just quickly, just write it down in the comments, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. I am very similar to Billy and Guy. I think Frank is doing an awful job. I really do. I've never. This manager is the worst I've seen probably since Santini. The points per game is what's it, 1.36, something like that, isn't it? I saw yesterday. It's bad.
Do you think he's better than AVB? Do you think he's better than AVB?
AVB's good. AVB's high. Yeah. Did you see AVB's Guy? His win rate.
Yeah. Someone said to me in the stadium, because they're of that era, And at the end of the match, there was people screaming like, "He's worse than AVB. He's worse than AVB."
Well, they were singing Pochettino, weren't they?
Yes,
Yesterday, man.
we were also singing because I was in the North Stand. We heard the Villa fans singing, "He's getting sacked in the morning." Then all of us started singing along with them. It's toxic, man. It's so toxic. I've never seen that. And I've never seen 10-year-olds booing and screaming and swearing so much in all my life. I've never seen it before at a Tottenham Hotspur stadium.
It's a very, very unhappy fan base right now. Look, I think most people know on YouTube my stance. I wanted Frank gone after the Fulham loss. I just can't see what he's doing here. The football is so negative. His defence first. Nobody's improving. Nothing's getting better. And I've got to put most of the responsibility down to the manager. Do we need better players? Of course we do. I think as a fan base, we all know we need better players, but we should be performing better than this. It's pathetic right now. The football is dreadful. The whole thing is a mess. The players' discipline is gone. Fighting at the end of the game. Just whole Frank's demeanour.
Fighting fans as well.
Fighting fans. But Frank calling out the fans constantly in press conferences. I'm not happy with how it's going. Look, we're going to pick this up throughout the stream, so I want to move it along. Otherwise, we'll get stuck on this particular point. But I would say 70% manager, 30% players. But again, I think we need some urgent action in that transfer market. Look, there's certain players that this team desperately needs. The problem is what's Frank going to do with them, because he's not shown anything to me that he can handle the job at Spurs. I've got to be honest. But look. We'll go back and forth in this throughout the stream. So the next segment I want to go through, let's just go in the chat and just see if there's any comments quickly I want to read out. Hold on a second. My laptop's really playing up tonight. Okay, Thomas says here, worst Spurs side I've seen and a manager in 60 years. That's shocking, man. 60 years. You did to James, 70% player capability. Scott is right. Mark says, what players did AVB have? Well, if you remember AVB, how did we win most of those games? It was good Bale screamers, weren't it?
Yeah.
Oh God. Chris, big up Chris, man. How you doing, buddy? He says AVB has the highest points per game of any manager we've had in the Premier League. Very true, it is. And we got cynical dad. These players can't operate in a shit system. 70% Frank, 20% board, lack of signings, and 10% players. It's just those ones I looked at. I mean, opinions amongst the fan base. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's mental. Thomas says, go and get Robbie Keane in now.
Yeah. All we need is a team of Robbie Keanes, a team of Robbie Keanes, a team of Robbie Keanes.
Mate, I love Robbie Keane, man. What a player for us, eh? He's one of my favourite players of all time, man.
Ryan Mason's out of a job now, isn't he? So.
Yeah, he is.
Mate, didn't last, did he? There. Just a couple more. Christian Gross was the worst manager. Yeah, he was dreadful. Him, Santini, they were dark times. Even to David Clark, don't talk about points per game. Who's that? VDV has been the best record in Spurs history for points per game. Who?
AVB. I think he means
AVB.
Yeah.
AVB. Yeah.
AVB.
Wow. Yeah. Big up to Manny. Big up, gentlemen. Sorry about the result yesterday, but you lost to a better team. And hey, at least you're not Manchester United. Guys. Look, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the stream. So the first segment I want to talk about is results versus performances, right? The core problem. So under Thomas Frank, Spurs have become inconsistent, toothless in attack. They've got a very fragile mentality, and frankly, they're just so boring to watch, aren't they? So we're all out of all the domestic cups, but we're 14th in the league, and the press reaction, to be honest, has been pretty brutal, right? It's been kind of devoid of ideas, lacking cohesion. We've been sterile in possession, and honestly, you can't argue with any of that. I don't think. And how many games this season have you watched and you thought we never looked like scoring. There's just so many issues. So the next question of the evening is: at what point do bad results stop being transition and start being failure? What point do we judge that? Let's go to Billy on that one.
I think in an ideal world, you'd give someone a season like that. You know, if you look at sort of historical examples, it's very rare a manager comes in straight away and has an incredible season straight from the off. I know Slot did it last year, but he's already sort of come and done a bit this season. So it's very rare. It normally takes a good year. Obviously, the example that keeps being spoken about is Arteta. I'm not really sure about that example, you know, as one to thing. I don't think it's really replicable. But I think, I think in a perfect world, you give the manager a season. You see a couple of green shoots in that. I think the problem for me with Frank and that question is we've seen absolutely nothing. Like, we've seen nothing. I've seen no green shoots. There's nothing that's improving.
Well, Billy, people thought they saw green shoots yesterday, mate.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, mate. Well, that to me was just players saying, let's just do this by ourselves. I mean, even Karen Danso pushed the tactics board himself, didn't he? So I think the players did that all by themselves, to be honest. But there's just nothing to go on. So I think in an ideal world, yeah, giving someone a season would be great. But if it's obviously the wrong man, it's just a waste of more time, isn't it, on top of each other? So I think in this case, if we did give Frank to the end of the season and then reassess, we just wasted another 6 months. Or if we get someone in, I don't even know what the solution is, because obviously the manager market right now is not as good as it will be in summer. So that's a tricky consideration as well. But I think in an ideal world, it's a season. But for that to be true, you have to be seeing something. And we're just seeing absolutely nothing.
So what was your kind of just quick answer on that one, Billy? Just, do you think it's fair now that we can question him?
Yeah. I think this is now a fair. There's a big enough sample size, half a season. We're out the cups, and don't forget, at the beginning of the season, we were told that this change was happening because we want to compete on all fronts. We can't even compete on one front. So, do you know what I mean? So it's obviously the wrong decision, and we're just wasting our time every day that it happens now for me.
Look, some parts of the press are coming out and saying that Frank needs more time. Some people are very sympathetic that the squad he's taken over from Ange. And they think he needs more time, more players in January particularly. And they're sympathetic to the fact that there's been key players missing. I hear all the time, Spurs, they don't have Maddison, they don't have Kulusevski, they've got nobody who can put that through ball through. How many times do you hear that from pundits on Sky Sports, Talk Sport? Guy, what do you think, mate?
To be honest, I think it's. I've seen enough. What was the game? Because I actually fell asleep. All right, so it wasn't. There was a game that we drew 0-0, right? And I can't remember what game it was.
Brentford, I think.
Yeah, it was Brentford, right? So I didn't go to that game, even though I live in London, and all my friends were like, "Come on, it's Brentford. It's an easy win." And I'm like, "Sure." I went to the pub, right? And Billy, you'll know this. You can't sleep in UK pubs. That'll get you kicked out, won't it? Quite quickly. I actually fell asleep before half time, and I got elbowed in the ribs by my mate at around about 60th minute, and he was like, bro, you need to wake up. I was like, what? And it wasn't because I was drunk. I only had a couple of pints. And the thing is, it was just like, it's so boring to watch. It is negative football. And the thing is, I don't do results-based analysis. People rely on too much on results-based analysis. Remember, guys, we're second in the league. What are you complaining for when all we're saying is we're not performing well? Well, look at us now, right? And for me, it's enough of a sample size. I've got no faith. As you can see, season's over, mate. Season is over in January. We've got no chance in the champs. Let's be real. We're probably not even going to get past the playoff stages at this rate. I think I've seen enough, and what I've seen, I'm done. You can give him more time if you want, but I just see it just kicking a can down a road.
Oh man, it's very sad times, man. It's so depressing. Guys in the chat, there's 94 people watching. Please smash the like button. Really helps the channel. If you're new to the channel as well, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Scott, is it fair to kind of
I think it's going to be what you expected for the season, and I think we've talked about it, right, Dan? You and I have talked about it. One of the reasons why I would be less I wouldn't say it's a failure this fast, is because I had no expectations for this season. Like Guy said, season over now. I said season over in August. Like I had no expectations. So this, again, I'll say it. This is what I expect. And a lot of the times when I hear like things that Guy is saying that football's awful, yes, I think the football is awful. But again, when I saw the squad we have, I expect awful football because we have awful players. So sure. I mean, I guess it could be. Is it too early? What are we going to do? We're going to bring in some manager, probably not a manager that any of us want, because no manager that any of us want is going to come here. We're going to see out the last half of the season. We might go from 14th. Maybe we could get up to 10th. Like, I think the problem is that the changes that we need to make can't be made right now. So as much as I don't think Frank is the solution, I think we keep him now. He's going to eat all the losses because the losses are going to come in the second half of the season, no matter what. Have him here, eat all the losses that we're going to get for the last half of the season, and then make the changes in the summer where we can make not only the change to the manager that we need, changes to players we need, changes above that we need. Because until we do that, if we change Frank right now, sure, go ahead. Like I said, I don't think he's a solution, so bring somebody else in. But I don't think we're bringing anybody else in. I think the season was a failure. When we went into the season with our options as striker, as Richie Solanke and maybe Moani, if he feels like playing striker that day, he can be a solution. On the left wing, we're talking about Tell, Odebert, Johnson. Like when we're talking about who's playing at the 8, Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr, or Gray, that's to me when the season was lost. The season was a failure right then. So it's easier for me to accept what's happening right now, because this is what I expected to happen. So I think the failure happened in the summer, and now we're just seeing the results of it now.
And that's why you're just so unfussed, Scott, isn't it? Because you predicted it. You just thought that group of players I don't back at all. You're unfussed about the manager. So what you're seeing now is no surprise to you.
Yeah, but I've said to you, Dan, you had some hope, right? We've talked about it. You had hope. So I understand your frustration. Guy, if you said you had, like, I understand the frustration for fans who are thinking this is going to be change. So this is going to be changed. Now we're going to start to see some improvements. And I could fully understand the frustration from fans that do that. I'm just saying I didn't have that frustration. Like, I didn't have that hope. So it's hard for me to be frustrated when I'm seeing the things that I expected to see. Doesn't mean that I don't want change. Doesn't mean that I agree. Watching these games are awful. It is awful to watch these games. And I agree with a lot of the things that you say. Like, the football is terrible. I just think I see it a little bit different where that terrible football is coming from. And my frustration is already, I've been frustrated. I can't keep getting frustrated time and time again because I'm, you know what, like I've been so frustrated. And my frustration was done in the summer. I did get a little bit hopeful when we sacked Ange and we started to make changes. And I said, okay, the easy thing would have been to keep Ange and keep going. That's what I would, we'd not really change much. Say, oh, we won the Europa League, so things are good enough here. That would have been the easy thing to do. But when we looked like we started to make changes, I got a little bit of hope up. And then when I saw what we did for the transfer window business and I saw how we weren't doing what we needed to do, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done in August. Season over, August 2025. So I don't know if that answers the failure part, but I do think it shows a little bit why I'm a little bit different in terms of the failure versus some of the other people.
Fair enough, man. It's we've all got different opinions on our club. Fair enough. And Scott is a very different opinion to mine. I had hopes for the season after last year. I thought Frank would come in and stabilise us and improve the defence. I didn't think it'd be perfect. I didn't think things would get better overnight, up and downs throughout the season. But the amount of downs there've been, that's particularly those London derby defeats really hit hard. Out of the domestic cups, it is shocking. It is shocking. Guys, let's bring in Manny. How are you doing, man? How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. First of all, thanks a lot for having me on. And I want to say I actually watched the game. I was a part of Eugene's watch along, of course. And I think Scott was in the chat. Hello to you, sir. And Guy also joined in via WhatsApp, all too briefly, I think.
I didn't even realise I was calling in. I pocket dialed.
Yeah, Eugene said that. And by the way, Guy, what did you have as your halftime snack, mate?
I had Korean chicken and quite a lot of drinks. I was quite thirsty.
Manny,
Yes.
I want to know,
Yeah.
and you've been listening in, so what's your answer to this question? Is it fair to start questioning Frank now, or does he need more time as an Arsenal fan?
I gave my answer, Dan, in the chat earlier on, saying basically, you've got to give him until the end of the season, because I think one person, the gentleman above me, Billy is your name, right, sir? You made a brilliant point when you made a brilliant point when you said that the very idea of trying to just let Frank go and bring in, a caretaker on interim, possibly until the end of the season, I'm not too sure that would necessarily be the best option, because the market for interim managers right now is not really the best. And you can see right now, I know it's only been about maybe 1 or 2 games for Darren Fletcher, but he now has a huge task to try to bring things up at Manchester United once again. And obviously, when I saw the last few minutes and saw that youngster Lacey getting, his laces literally went undone and he got sent off. So that's sort of the idea. When things are going as badly as they are at both Spurs and Manchester United, you just have to wonder who can possibly come in and try and make things better. I think the big priority right now would be more or less to stabilize things. And one of the biggest issues that I was talking about with Eugene on the stream was that if you had to sack Ange Postecoglou, and I know that there are several people on the YouTube,
So Ange?
What?
Frank?
No. I had to sack Ange earlier. If you had to sack Ange earlier, even after the Europa League win, the better option would have been to get someone who had the experience, who would have, taken the team forward, who knew what it meant to, be a winner and work with a top-class team. With Thomas Frank, I always believed that you were getting not really much better than a glorified Graham Potter. And we all saw how that crashed and burned horribly at Chelsea. And he also didn't really do much better at West Ham. Now he's trying to redeem himself by managing the Swedish national team. I don't think Kulusevski will be involved there yet, but good luck to him. Things have just gone horribly. And now you're in a situation right now where, you've got to try to justify the change you've made. And I've seen a lot of your videos, Dan, I have to say. I know you've been very passionate about saying, we got it wrong with him, but with hiring Frank. And, we've just got to, we have to make some changes now. But I think, I know that Billy has to go, so I'll just ask this question to you, if I may. You've made it crystal clear that the market for interim managers right now might not be as good as in the summer. So personally, for me, I think if you take a look at what happened with Pochettino at Chelsea, he was given until the end of the season. He enabled Chelsea to recover from a disastrous middle of the season to finish reasonably high in the table at about 6th, I think, but was then given his P45, and then Maresca was appointed, and the rest is history in more ways than one. So let's go into the future and say that Frank will indeed be given until the end of the season, but then he'll be given a golden handshake and sent on his way. Bite the bullet at the end of the season. Which manager would you think would be perfect to come in and try and stabilize things?
This is to Billy, right?
Yeah, Billy, because he has to leave.
I've got to answer with my heart against my head, and I've just got to be the one man that you just mentioned, like Pochettino. Like, that's the only card that we have left at this point. I think a top manager like Nagelsmann is going to become nowhere near us. The market for, I think, someone like Xavi as well is someone that I've sort of flirted with the idea for. But I'm going to speak with my heart, and the only manager that's been competent in the last 6, 7, 8 years is Pochettino. And I think because we have, as we rightly spoke about today, a pretty poor squad of young players. Well, that's his big thing, isn't it? He's very good at developing young players. I'm going to answer that with my heart and not my head, because I do always think I worry about going back. But for me, there's only one man. It's got to be Pochettino, because I can't do a year of another terrible manager, then we're back in the same again. We've done it every single year since he's gone. And the only person that's managed to get it right is him. So that's my answer.
Very good. Good answer,
Okay,
Billy.
cool.
Before you go, do you want to just say about change for Tottenham? Because there's more people watching now.
Of course, and I really appreciate the support on this channel, so thank you very much, guys. But we'll be there at the West Ham game from 2 o'clock outside the Corner Pin pub. We'll go into the ground about 2:30 together. We'll make some noise, make a racket, and speak to this board and say, this is not good enough, because we're here again, guys. And I'm sure if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be surprised if next January we're still in the same position. We'll be here again talking about another disappointing transfer window. We're not given enough to another manager. The manager's about to get sacked. It's just the way that ENIC do things. Until they go, until we get a clean break from ENIC, I don't think this football club is going to be anywhere near the football club that we fans deserve. But thank you very much for your support, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Billy. Thanks for coming on, mate.
See you,
Catch
Billy.
up with you soon, buddy.
With you, mate.
Well, let's welcome in Mark. How you doing, mate? How you been?
I'm very well, gentlemen. How are you? How are you?
Yeah. Mate, you've been listening in. Anything you want to say before we kind of crack on with the show? Carrot, continue the questions we're talking about around Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to you. I've listened to lots of people. I think Frank was set up to fail like a lot of managers. Again, the board has let the fans down. I think they've let the club down. I think they've let the manager down once again. If you go into a Champions League season with 2 permanent loans and 2 signings that were basically on the last day of the window and on the last week of the window with no plan at all, what can you do? He has been set up to fail. Again, another manager.
Mark, I get where you're coming from, but you don't. I obviously we chat all the time.
Yeah,
you comment on my videos. You never ever mention the manager's tactics. Why is that?
I always think, right, I think if you get the players right, and he's not had for one game a full squad, not for one game. How do we know what his tactics are in the long run? Because we've never seen it. We've seen it.
All managers, mate. All managers don't always have the first team.
With this squad, not with a fully fit squad. We never have had. We saw what he's like at Brentford. We all agree it was hot. It was all right at Brentford, don't we?
Yeah. So you're putting it down that he hasn't had his fully fit squad. So you're not going to judge him until he has.
As I said, I think me and Scott are quite in agreement. I didn't hope for a lot in the season once I realised what we got in the transfer window. I think we've been sold a complete lie by ENIC. I think it's happened again with this January window. We have been sold another lie.
Look, no one's happy with ENIC. Nobody. They're the biggest problem. We all know that. We do. Yeah. Cheers, Mark. Let's move along with this now. Let's keep it going. So the next segment I want to talk about is tactical issues. And here's the biggest issue for me, guys. What is Thomas Frank's Tottenham? Because at Brentford, he had clear structure, defined roles, a team greater than the sum of its parts, right? Brentford had one of the kind of lowest budgets in the league, isn't it? They're known for it, not spending a lot of money, but getting a lot more out of what they've got. So at Spurs, we just see what kind of slow build up. There's no runners between the lines. The wingers are isolated. And then you have strikers feeding off scraps. The press have questioned whether Frank's pragmatic approach fits the club. And fans are asking, why do we look so scared at home? And it's damning, to be honest, because you can lose games of football playing brave. Fans will accept it to a point, but losing while playing safe, passive football at Tottenham, that's when the atmosphere turns sour. And this is what we have this season. Every home game, there's booze. Every home game. And we've lost so many home games, even the away games now they're booing. This is a bad state of this team under Thomas Frank. It is dreadful. And as I said, it's the worst I've probably seen since Santini, and probably Gross as well. I think, was that Mark you brought up in the comments, didn't you? Christian Gross. So,
no, that was Billy. Billy brought that up.
Billy, yeah.
Billy.
So this is the worst football I've seen since last year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. What do we do? We're saying who's the worst manager? Like, did we not watch football for the last 2 years? Like,
yeah, I was there for those.
We had in our history. But anyway, sorry, not to.
No, it's fine, man. It's fine. It's dreadful, man. Last season was dreadful as well with all the defeats. It was, yeah. It's just, I mean, I've got a question about the 2 seasons near the end, but anybody want to take this one? Really, they're kind of, Frank's style of play. It is awful. Anybody?
I can sum it up in one word, mate. Fearful. It's fearful. To me, the players and the way the team is set up with under Thomas Frank, we're afraid. We don't play with any fearlessness at all. Like I say, it is absolutely, I don't want to ramble on about it, but absolutely turgid, boring, fearful playing. And the way it sets up is not good. It's really easy to beat us right now. People, that whole narrative, oh, we're better defensively. No, we're not. We're not better defensively. We're not. We are not better defensively. We're pretty much the same. I'm looking at. I mean, all of the narratives that I'm seeing, it's just there's just utter BS. Because to me, the players and the playing style and the tactical in-game changes they're just confused me. They just absolutely confused me. I don't know about the rest of the panel here, but when I see the lineups, I'm like, what? Okay, what? And then the substitutions, I'm like, what? What's going on? You say they're getting booze home and away. Yeah, it's absolutely toxic. It's toxic. People are booing as soon as they touch the ball. As soon as a player touches the ball, kids are booing. People are booing.
But aren't these the same fans applauding when we lost 6-3 to Liverpool?
I wasn't.
That's what I mean. You've got some fans clapping because we're getting stuffed by Liverpool, and then on the other hand, because we're losing, and I know this, 2-1. What's the difference? I don't know, what the Spurs fans want. They don't seem to know what they want. Do they want boring winning football, Glasner, which a lot of people have said, or do they want open attacking football like a Klopp Orange, but may lose? Nobody seems to know what they want.
I know what I want. I would like to see, I don't want to see every win. We're not going to win every game. I would like our players and our manager to take home games a little bit seriously. That would be nice, because the way we play at home is absolutely depressing. It's depressing. It's absolutely depressing. I got a text from my mum just going, "Lol, season's over, isn't it now?" And she doesn't even follow football. And that's how bad Spurs are. People who don't even watch football know that we are terrible to watch and we don't win. I wouldn't mind if it's defensive and we play, if we're defensive but play well and score some goals and win some games, great. But we're not even doing that. We're not even doing that, though. And we can't even say like we did last season, oh, but we're better in Europe. We're better in Europe with that cope. It's just turgid. It's absolutely turgid. And I think the tactics of this manager, I just don't think cut the mustard with. You can say they don't cut the mustard with the players that we've got. You can use that. I'm open to that interpretation. But the thing is, he's the head coach and in-game manager. He should be able to get more of a chime out of these players than he's getting. And I think that comes back to his tactics.
But why? In the last 80 games, we've got a league position of 15th. Why? When have you ever seen it?
Yeah, but Andrew's crap as well, Mark. Come on, Andrew's rubbish.
I'm not.
I don't think Frank's any good either.
But you can't go 80 games and sit 15th without being some on the players rather than both. Everything can't be all on the manager.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's all on the manager. We had that discussion. It's not all on the manager, and I did say the players are also fearful as well. And you can see it, our discipline is going further and further down because we're not winning games, because of our fans booing them, because we're not getting any results. And, it is partly, if we're just talking about the tactics, I don't think if Frank is wanting to use this tactics and you can say, oh, but the players aren't there for these tactics, then that's the manager's job to mitigate that, is it not?
Yeah.
If there aren't tactics that these players can play, though, then when that's, I agree with a lot. Again, Guy, I think we we agree with a lot, like 75%, and then I think it's the final one where we're placing blame. Like, I agree with you. I'll say this. I agree. I did not like the subs yesterday. But why I didn't like them is because I saw Villa put out a stronger team than we are. And then when they put out 3 subs, they put on Ollie Watkins, Yuri Tielemans, and Jadon Sancho. And we put on Kolo Muani, Solanke, and Dane Scarlett. And that's my problem with the subs. I didn't want any of our subs to come onto the pitch. I don't want any of them to come onto the pitch.
Yeah, but
so again, that's where it comes to me. I have a hard time blaming Frank when the players on the bench. I don't want to see them come on.
Yeah,
and again, I think the
Mawani, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with Solanke?
He doesn't want to be here. Kola doesn't want to be here.
I don't think Solanke's a very good. I think he's a bottom half player. I think he's shown that over his career. He went to Chelsea, he didn't make it. He went to Liverpool, he didn't make it. He had one good season with Bournemouth, who are usually a bottom half of the table team. He had the season before was okay-ish with Bournemouth. Like, I think with us last year, he played with us when we were 17th in the table. I think Solanke is a bottom half of the table player. So I think we should want better. I don't think he's a player that should be that's going to start for a team that's in the top half of the table, certainly not top 6. That's my issue.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, again, and Villa's bringing on Ollie Watkins. Like, is there any debate which one you want to come on, Solanke or Watkins?
At one point, they were fighting it out for the England spot, weren't they? Both of them.
I think that's questions you guys should ask about the England. That's a whole different debate where I'll get
they were at one point
that are being made for England. But
after Solanke's good season for Bournemouth.
I just think he's a bottom table.
You can tell a lot of it's down to the players. I'll give you a couple of things. Sheringham went to United. Keane went to Liverpool. Berbatov went to Man United. Kane went to Bayern. Which teams are buying Richarlison, Dom Solanke, Tell, Odeberg, and that lot? What top teams are going to buy those players?
The thing for me is when the team is, as a collective, playing so poorly, everybody's going to be slating the players. Everybody, because we're badly managed, we're badly coached. All of them are crap, don't they?
Nobody is buying these players apart from Mickey Van der Ven.
They look rubbish because they're being badly coached, the tactics are awful.
But they were cast-offs. Those players were cast-offs that we got. They weren't.
They can create chances, score goals. They can do things on the football pitch, man. They're not relegation form level, are they? They're not.
But I think they are.
80 games.
I disagree.
We can disagree, but the stats are in the last 80 games we've been 15th.
Yeah, because we're badly managed by the manager, guys. He's not getting the results.
But even before that, 3 seasons before that, it's like 13th in the league. This has been 3 or 4 seasons worth we've been poor.
I will fight all day long until I see a proper manager get hold of these group of players. Then, if they have 15th, 12th, whatever, then I will say, okay. But I do not rate the job Frank is doing. I don't think Ange did a decent job. I want to see a top coach come into this side and pick this lot up. Yes, we need better players. There's crucial players in this team we need. Yeah, we all know that. But this group of players shouldn't be losing most weeks. No, they're badly coached. The tactics are awful. The whole team's confidence is gone. It's poor management.
Dan, when are you seeing good, like, honestly, Odeberg, Tell, Richarlison, Johnson, they were bad before they came to us. Like, when are you seeing good things out of them? 18-year-old Bergvall had only played in Sweden. Archie Gray spent a year in the championship playing mainly right back. Pape Matassar was out of the Mets lineup his last season in League One before he came to us. Bentancur, we've seen, he was surplus to requirements at Juve, which isn't a problem. Juve, especially back then, is a good quality, but Juve said you can take him, and then he got a major injury. Like, when are you seeing? It's not just Frank. That's my problem. Is these players were poor before they came to Frank, and when they go to places.
So what particular players? Wilson, you're talking about, yeah? Wilson, Tell.
Mm-hmm. Richarlison. We already kind of talked about Solanke. Brennan Johnson, when he was here, is poor. I think everyone that we have in our 8, Sarr, Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, are players that shouldn't be here. In the midfield, I think we only have 110 Xavi Simons is the only person we have in 10. Mohamed Kudus is a talented player, but this is the exact thing that West Ham fans said to us. He's going to be good at first, and then he's going to get frustrated, and he's going to start to pout, and he's going to start to be selfish. And that's what we're seeing out of Kudus, right? Like, all I'm saying is I don't see players who are playing different before they came here and now are poor, or players who go out and play well other places and then come back to us and are poor. Like, I've seen these players be poor before they're with Frank. I've seen them still poor here. I see them poor when they go to other places. That's my issue. Like, if we had Harry Kane and Son and they start to play like crap, then I'm like, okay. Like, the players who are playing good are the talented players we have. Mickey Van de Ven, he's talented. He's not dropping off because he's a good player, right? Romero's the same level that he was before. Porro's struggling more offensively but improving defensively. Jed Spence is the same level of player he was before. Like, the players that have actual talent are kind of the same thing that we're seeing.
Do you not think, though, a question off the back of that, right? So you say the players were poor when they came in and are just as poor now. Isn't that an indictment of the coaching staff not being able to coach them to be better? Or are we saying players just hit a ceiling when they come here and that's it? We can't get anything more out of them.
I think poor players are poor players. I think there's a question to say, are these players at their, this is what the kind of player there are, right? There's a certain
So you
level.
think they're at their ceiling now? So Frank can't get anything better out of them.
Johnson,
I'm not trying to
Tell,
come at you. It's just a
Richie,
question.
Yeah, no. I understand. I think Bergvall's a guy who I have hope to grow. I think Johnson, Tell, Odobert, and Richie are what they are. And I think that's why you hear some people, it's a debate, right? Some people will say that Odobert's improved this year, right? There's fans that say that. Some people will say Tell has improved. I don't really think so. And I don't think so either. I think somewhat unfair to them, because I think expecting those guys to improve playing in the Premier League, which is above their level, they shouldn't be. They should be out on loan. That's what teams do. They send guys like Tell, Odobert, Gray, Bergvall out on loan. And we're seeing it with Vuskovic,
yeah,
right? Like, he's doing
great. Do you also think, because this is what I'm thinking, right? Do you think that these players they're not getting a string of games? Because I've noticed this is something coming back to Frank's setups and tactics, right? I'm noticing, like, no Spurs fan I talk to can predict our starting 11. It changes all the time, pretty much, apart from when he was doing that Benton core and Paulinho double pivot, which experiment over, it don't work. Do you think that these players aren't getting enough time on the pitch? Because here's the thing, because training, you can pull off worldies in the training ground, right? But if you're doing it in front of 60,000 people, you play differently. So do you think, because Odobert recently came out and said he's afraid to play at the home stadium, do you think that that's the players' fault completely? And like I say, not getting enough game time to get used to it? Or do you just think, that's it, the players are done, we just need to get rid and get some new ones?
It's not, we can't shift all these players out. Yeah, it's impossible. Right. And some of these players that Scott said, I don't particularly rate, the likes of Wilson, Tell, Gray. Yeah. But some other players I do think we should be getting more out of. Right. And I do look at our back line. I think we've got a good back line. I think Paulina's a good player. I think Bentoncourt's a good player. I think Xavi's a good player. Kudus. Solanke, he's average, but he should be able to get goals. Then you stick with a winger on the left. Wilson, just keep playing him. I've seen signs that there could be a player in there, but every time he plays well, he's dropped. Right. So I think there is a basis of a good side there. But as I said, we're set up completely wrong. And the players are now lost so much confidence and belief in the manager. We're losing every week. And we keep on putting these players down. We continue to have a go at the players because we're looking so poor. They're not playing with any confidence. They don't believe in Thomas Frank's tactics. The stats, the data is dreadful. Yeah, as we're saying, he's got the worst record for a Spurs manager at the last 10. He's getting it so wrong.
Is that overall?
Last 10 managers, yeah.
But so that compares Ange playing against AZ Alkmaar and all the Europa League teams versus Champions League.
Across all competitions.
I'm not saying that there is a possibility. I would say Bergvall's the number one who I don't want him playing for Spurs right now, but I think he's a player that could eventually be good enough. But I think what we're talking about here, to me, it's a conversation that is above Frank. We have poorly handled these players. Again, Tell, Odebert, Gray. Tell Odebert, Gray should be all on loan. You put those three on loan and replace them, not even with great play, like just like Danny Welbeck. Maybe he's having a pretty good year. Maybe I'm harsh on him, but like just replace them with competent level Premier League players. And how much better are we then? Like that's what I'm like. And then if you have some players of just competent level, I'm not saying Yamin Yamal, right? Like just a competent player, and Frank's not getting anything out of them, then I agree. But I'm struggling. I just don't know. When people ask me this, who's he improved? My response is always, who do you think he should improve? Like Bentancur is 30 years old, or close to 30. Like he's not improving. He's kind of what he is.
He's regressing with his passing. He's totally regressed this season with his passing. It's crazy.
But we've seen all the data, guys. The progressive passes are down, aren't they? They're really, really down, and that's a management instruction.
Or it's
how can they just drop down that much?
Has a bad knee that he's had to get reconstructed and is struggling to have people to pass to because his. We're
talking about the whole team, Scott. The whole team. The passes forward are down.
But is that surprising to you?
Well, but what a drop off from previous seasons. Are these players suddenly not passing forward? Why are they not passing forward?
Who do you think is passing forward? That's like. Am I surprised that Bentancur,
to win a game, they've got to pass it
forward? What's that?
They're supposed to pass it forward, isn't it? You've got to get the ball forward to create chances, score goals, and Frank is setting it up all too safe.
I don't see how he's setting it up safe. Like these players aren't good. Who do you think is going to make these progressive passes? They aren't
Xavi
to make progressive
Kudos,
passes.
Bentancur.
Kudos. How many times do you see his head is down and he doesn't want to pass? He's going to beat everybody else because he's tired of making passes to people who aren't there or don't make the runs for him. Or when he passes it to Richarlison, it goes right to the center back because Richarlison can't hold the ball for more than half a second.
Right, guys, let's move on. Let's go. We'll get stuck on this point. But, fair enough, everyone, for your opinions. I respect you all your opinions. Might not agree, but fair enough. Fair play, man. Fair play. Let's move on to the fan reaction segment now, guys. Let's talk about that. Let me just get up my points I wanted to talk about. So, fan reaction. We just talked about tactical issues. Now we're going to move on to fan reaction. So, look. Let's talk about the fans because we're the ones who matter the most, right? All the booing after every game, the sacked in the morning chants, the visible frustration aimed at players and a manager. Everybody's so frustrated and angry, and it's so toxic at Tottenham right now. It is so toxic. Let's be honest. And this isn't coming from nowhere. Fans can see there's no progress, there's no direction, there's no emotional connection with the team. And even our away supporters singing boring, boring Tottenham Hotspur. So many people are just disillusioned and have given up for the season, especially after going out of the FA Cup yesterday. Like, guy is behind you, the season is over to you, and it's just not good enough. And Frank is acknowledging the frustration and he's telling us all to be patient. But are Spurs fans justified in turning on Frank? Or is it impatience? That's this question following on what I said. Manny, do you want to go? You haven't spoken for a while.
Well, the reason why I didn't want to speak on the tactical side of things was because there were a few things I could have said about yesterday's game, but I didn't really want to rock the boat. Clearly, you lot are more knowledgeable and have seen a lot more than I have. But, as far as the fans, booing Frank is concerned, listen, Frank had an option. He could have, said no. He could have said, I don't think I'm really, really, really qualified enough to, I shouldn't say qualified. I just don't know if I'm really well equipped mentally or emotionally to take this big of a step up because I'm really having a good time here at Brentford. And it's just amazing how after he's left, Brentford have just done so much better. It's like when Graham Potter left Brighton to go to Chelsea, Brighton actually improved leaps and bounds under De Zerbi, and now De Zerbi's balling at Marseille, challenging PSG for Liga. I'm at the default position that, yes, fans have to boo. fans have to express their discontent because, as was said in the chat as I was coming in, the fans were sold a lie. The decision to get rid of Ange Postecoglou, while it may perhaps have been the right decision as long as it was for the right reasons, it was still seismic because there was a poster who left a message in the chat section who said it destroyed a lot of the goodwill. And as I've said, if you wanted to replace Ange Postecoglou, you had to keep the goodwill going by getting a manager who would have been, in many ways, equipped or experienced enough to actually have this sort of a situation where you're managing a club that's won a European trophy in the Champions League and having hopes of, improving drastically on their league position, which wasn't good, but there were mitigating circumstances, and trying to compete in everything. Instead, the fans were sold a lie, so they have a right to boo. And of course, there is an idea which says that, with the performances having improved of late, especially against Bournemouth at Dean Court and in the second half yesterday against Aston Villa, there are some signs of improvement. But when you take a look at how everything has turned out since, with the team still, struggling in the bottom half of the table and now out of both cup competitions and with hardly any chance of, winning the Champions League, although I think you should make the knockout stages, fans will feel discontent, and they do have a right to, to boo everything, because the way things have happened, they're entitled to feel as though they've been in a way betrayed. And sometimes if the players have the cojones about them, for want of a better word, the balls about them, as we would otherwise say back in England, they would respond to that and say, you know what, we can't keep letting these fans down. We have to try to do something about it. And I think the players also will now have to start having some honest conversations with the manager and just saying, you know what, we've got to try to change something on the field, because if the players were able to do that with Ange, allegedly, as Mickey van der Ven said, there's no reason why they shouldn't do that with Frank. But yes, the fans have a right to boo. And until they see an improvement in performances, it's not going to get any better. I'll give you an example of the Arsenal-Aston Villa game, because at half-time we were drawing 0-0 against Unai Emery and his boys. Villa were in many ways doing exceptionally well in trying to nullify our attacking press, and were looking, equal to us. And the fans, understandably, were getting very edgy, and they weren't really willing to cheer the boys off. In the second half, Amadou Onana went off injured, and then we ended up pressing them, and we ended up thrashing them 4-1. And the fans, some of them a little bit too boisterously and too idiotically, in my opinion, celebrated the win. So sometimes fan reactions and managerial reactions can have a galvanizing effect. So yes, the fans are right to boo. Yes, the fans are right to take out their frustrations. If they see good football, if they see a team, trying to make sure they lay it on the line and really go at it and try and get something out of it, and making a sincere attempt to do it, then they're going to be happy with that. But you've nailed it perfectly. What you're seeing now is ultra-defensive, turgid, timid, tepid football, and the fans obviously don't like it because it's not even getting them the results that they want. That's one reason why people enjoyed watching Ange so much, despite the 4-1 loss at home to Chelsea and the 6-3 loss at home to Liverpool. And let's not forget, at the end of it all, he helped you improve your European legacy. You still have a much better European legacy than we do. Our legacy is appalling. For a few days, you made us a laughingstock that season, and then it was all ruined. Yes, the fans have a right to boo. They have a right to expect things. And with a club of Spurs' history and tradition, the way you played in seasons gone by and how it's worked out for you in those days, there are reasons why fans should be a little bit angry. Where I draw the line is being overly abusive, sending death threats on social media. We can all agree that there is a limit to that, and if you cross that limit, then that is unacceptable. But I'm not about to blame the fans here.
Manny, well said, man. I agree with everything you say there. And while it's a couple of things you mentioned there, and I just want to go to Mark Scott as well. Surely you see that Frank is such a negative manager. Don't you want to criticize anything about that, or his whole?
I never wanted Frank. My first choice was Glasner.
Yeah, but what about comment on it, Mark? Because you're very focused on the players and Scott as well. Why don't you comment on his actual tactics and his football?
Yeah, my first choice was Glasner. I thought he had the pedigree for the club. Personally, myself, but apparently he turned us down. I don't think we're that sellable anymore to these top managers. I really don't. I've said to you, I think Frank was brought in to improve these youngsters because we've stockpiled them. I never thought that Frank was the answer at all. At all. We are lost as a club.
Now you're seeing it, Mark. You're actually seeing it.
We're really lost. I think we're lost. I think we're lost.
But Frank, you're actually seeing him set up the team in this negative, pragmatic way, and everyone is miserable.
Yeah. I think he's set up in this way because he doesn't trust the players. I really don't think he trusts the players to get results by playing open football.
Might as well have a go, right? We're losing anyway.
I think now
he's playing defensive.
I think that now he's at that stage. He might as well do because he's gone either way. He can't. He'll get sacked. There's no way he can come back from this. It'll be the biggest redemption story in history. But he's gone now. He's getting sacked after West Ham if they lose. So as you said, he might as well go for it now. Is it no-win situation now?
Look, I'm going to go to Scott because I think Scott wants to say something. But Mark, I totally agree with Glasner. He was my first choice. Yeah. You know, Frank wasn't my first choice, but you know, I was willing to back him and give him a chance. And he's been a massive disappointment. Scott, what you saying, man?
I'll just quickly say it's funny that Mark and I are the Frank. People say Frank apologist or Frank defenders. I didn't want Frank. Yeah. When we were talking in the summer, like I said, Brian Daigle's the guy I talked to. I think we all know Brian was a massive Frank fan. And I told him all summer, I don't think it's a good choice. Like, I didn't want Frank. My quote-unquote defense of Frank is when you say, don't you see the negative tactics? No. Like, I don't see negative tactics. I see negative players that can't. Like, people say, why don't we just go for it? Because we don't have players good enough to go for it. We saw yesterday, the second half, Villa was up 2-0, so they take their foot off the gas.
So who was that down to, Scott? Was that the players or the manager? Who changed that? Why
Villa.
Did the team suddenly start playing better?
Because Villa took their foot off the gas because they were up 2-0 and taking the game. Did you notice how when it was 2-1 and Villa made some changes that we couldn't go for it? Did the players then say, oh no, it's 2-1, let's go back to Frank's tactics? No, Villa took over the game because we don't have players to dictate the game to Villa. And when Villa wants to dictate the game to us, they just completely shut us down. It was a game scenario that got us to go for it.
That's not what I'm saying. You're right there about Villa. They're a very good side, and they calmed it down. Yeah, they made some changes and they got back into the game. I'm talking about the change in attitude with the players because second half,
I didn't see a change
in the first half. The first half, we didn't do anything. Didn't even lay a glove on Villa. But the second half comes, we're like a different team. Now, is that a Frank instruction or is that the players just thinking, I'm sick of Frank's tactics, and we're just going to go for it? And it's too late.
I don't think that it was any change. I think the change was made by Villa that made it easy for us to do things.
Scott, man, these players were trying harder in the second half. We clearly saw that.
I think Paulinho tried harder.
Then why did it stop when we scored our first goal and Villa made tactical changes and put 2 guys on? Why did all of a sudden that attitude just magically stop?
Well, Villa managed the game well, didn't they, Scott? They did. They're a good side.
Villa managed the game. That's why.
No, I'm talking about the change in the attitude and how they started playing. That's what I'm talking about particularly.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that so many times this season. Let it happen.
We've seen it so many times this season, being 2-0 down, and suddenly we start to play. And I mean, what do you think?
The opposition changes how they approach the game when you're up 2-0 versus 0-0, right?
Yeah, there's that as well. There's that.
So it's easier. Part of it. Then the game, so it becomes easier to attack when players, right? Villa's not going to go all out. They're not going to take risks. They're going to sit back a bit, even if they don't. They don't have to park the bus, but they take it off a bit, and the game becomes easier. And we've seen that from our players. Not under Frank. We saw it under Ange. We saw it under Conte. We saw it under Jose. When the game is easy, these players are okay. When the game is difficult, they struggle. So I don't
want to say something.
It's a big change. I don't think it's a big change from
I mean,
to be honest.
Coming back to the fans and how we act. Match going fans, I'm always on the side of a match going fan, no matter what. We pay our money, we boo if we want to, we cheer when we want to, we cheer when we do well, we do when we do crap, right? The fans don't start booing before a ball is kicked. It's as simple as that. It never happens unless there's a circumstance around that. But yeah, no. At the end of the day, I was in the North Stand, right? I'm not going to argue with about 250 10-year-olds. I don't know. You know, we've all been around kids. If you tell them to stop doing that, they're going to do it more anyway. I'm not going to say that's what around. I heard the entire stadium boo pretty much. So let's just say 40,000 people, right? I'm not going to argue with 40,000 people if 40,000 people think that's a booable performance, because I booed it too. I've been booing at the stadium more this season than last season, a lot more. I think the fans have every right to react and how they want, really. I think coming out and all of the podcasters and pundits and ex-players, ex-managers, oh, we can't boo them. It's no, shut up. Don't tell us what to do. If you put in a good performance and you get some results, we won't boo you. Simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Look, I've never seen a season with so much booing. Anyone? I can't remember. This is mental. Never seen it.
They were leaving. They were leaving 20 minutes before. People were leaving 20 minutes before half-time whistle. People were leaving.
Mate,
I think though this is something that's been building for years, right? Like, let's be clear.
Yeah.
And Manny said something I just wanted to quickly touch on. Manny said that like sacking Ange got rid of a lot of the goodwill, and I think if we would have kept Ange, it would have got rid of a lot of goodwill with people too, Manny. And that's the problem, is that our fan base has that divide in it, right? Like that the reality is, if we would have kept Ange,
all fan bases have that.
This would not be a happy fan base. It would be a very toxic fan base. So that's the problem. I think this has been building for years, right? I can't speak exactly because I'm not going to home games, but in the fan base that I see, I think we've been building, and the anger builds on top of each other. And now this season is kind of the culmination of it all, right?
I would say though, in the beginning, it's a quick one, Manny, just to go from the match going fans. In the beginning, we weren't like that. Well, there was a lot of hope in the stadium. There really was. And because of this season, and like I say, most fans tend to focus on this season when it's match-going fans, right? We're not speaking for hours about Ange. I never speak about Ange. As soon as the manager's gone, he's gone. I don't care. But I was with the match-going people that have given up their season tickets in the last couple of the season. People have just given up their season tickets in the last couple. I gave up my season ticket last year. Still don't regret it. You know, at the beginning of the season, there was hope. And now it's boos every game. It's boos every game.
I mean, the fans were fantastic yesterday, weren't they? They really gave it their all, man. Those fans, man, they really done everything they could to push the team along, even when we were losing, playing poorly. They never gave up, did they? Yeah, the fans, the atmosphere was fantastic. It's just so disappointing, man. That first half particularly was dreadful. Absolutely. And look, Villa are a good side. They are a good side.
They are a good side, but it's also a bit of an indictment as well. You also have to consider that Villa lost one of their key players, Boubacar Kamara, to a very meaty challenge from Paulinho. And of course, you had a lot of Spurs legends, including a certain Glenn Hoddle, on commentary saying that those tackles were absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty certain that the Aston Villa legends and fans would not have agreed with that. And it really, it potentially would have knocked the stride off of Villa, because it's bad enough that they've lost Onana, but Kamara in tandem, those two literally were the engine room of Villa. They're the ones who normally play in the defensive double pivot, and they're the ones who keep things going. So I was a little bit worried for them how they would have ticked on from there. But then Tielemans came on, and along with Bohada, he steadied the ship quite impeccably.
Well, Tielemans is the first team starter, isn't he? And they didn't even start with their strongest team, Villa.
He is, but the thing is, like, he normally prefers to sort of play as a 10, and he certainly isn't a first choice as a double pivot. But then, they rose to the occasion. It sort of united them. Daniel Marlin, who you never would associate with as a player who could hold up the ball, I thought he did an excellent job as Watkinson's replacement starter. And it was he who did the work for Buendia to score that first goal. And then with Rodgers as second, it was more of the same. There was a marked improvement in the second half. I think the players and maybe the manager sort of decided, we can't go out like this. We have to start doing it a little bit better. But we've also got to give credit to Aston Villa. As you say, Dan, they shut up shop. They managed the game very well. They are still prone to moments where defensively they switch off. I mean, Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa, two excellent centre-backs, but Torres is capable of a few moments where he goes to sleep, especially in the Premier League, and you can't do that. At continental level, though, he is peerless. And the thing is, I get what you're saying, Scott, about the division of the fan base, and obviously, what was really surprising, though, was that when you take a look at the scenes in Bilbao and at the Tottenham Stadium and also at the parade, the turnout at the parade, for example, everybody was cheering. Yeah, exactly. Guy, you can back me up. The cheering, the singing, the chanting, it was wonderful. And when Ange delivered that epic line, season 3 is always better than season 2, I mean, I disagree. In some of my favorite series, season 3 is actually a lot worse. In Friends, for example, Ross and Rachel break up, and me and Ted and Robin break up. But anyway, I'm digressing. So when you had that situation where everyone was so thrilled and so happy with an amazing end to the season, I would have liked to think that in theory, whatever would have happened before would have been washed away. And then you also had a new chant about 17th. I don't know how we went and won it in Bilbao. And it was just, I guess we'll never know, as Kate Winslet would say, what would have happened. But the thing that I was expecting was Ange to have been given a transfer budget, to have brought those players in, to have started the season, see how far he could have gone in the Champions League, and then if things weren't going at all well, you could just sack him and bring in the caretaker. At least you would have found out that way. And I bet you right now, with some of the players that you brought in, the likes of Kudus and others, Ange would have given his right teeth to have been able to work with them, let me tell you. But it's all in the past now. You can't really change it. You can't keep litigating it. That's all I can say.
Just for many in the fan base, if Ange would have come back, I wouldn't have watched a single game this year.
No.
It would have been. I wouldn't have watched.
He had to go, man.
He's the reason I cancelled my season ticket, mate. He's the reason why I saw 22 losses. I saw, how many did I see of those? I think I saw 18 or 19, because that season for me was a bit weird because I got really ill. Really ill. Pretty much on death's door.
So just quickly, what would it take for you to repurchase a season ticket?
Well, let's segue to the question here, right? There's a question. Carlos, big up to you, man. Where do we go from here as fans? We have been saying the same for years now. Let's just segue onto this question and follow on what Manny said as well. What I think needs to happen, I'll tell you, and then all you guys can go. First thing we need to do is get rid of Frank. We need to get a better manager in there, a top manager in there. Can we get him now? I don't know. It might have to be the summer. Someone that the players can look up to, respect. We've got to win football matches. We've got to get better, and we need a manager who can speak up to the board. Not potential signings. We need ready-made players. The manager's got to be very strong, and they've got to listen to him. Right, that's the first point. The directors of football, I'm not impressed with at all, especially Jonathan Lange. The players he's brought in. If you look at his list compared to Paradici's, there is a massive drop-off with Lange. It is terrible. And then I get the argument from Mark and Scott, because I think a lot of those players are not good. But I do think there are players in the squad that are good and should be doing better. But anyway, we're not going to go over that again. That needs to happen. I don't know about Vinay. Really not sure about him at all. I mean, was he involved with the signing of Frank? He said he was. This 30 candidate list, and Frank was the top person out of them. I mean, look, I was wrong with Frank. Yeah, I thought he'd come in and do a decent job, but how wrong was I? So that needs to be looked at. So they're not going to sack Vinay, I don't think. So it'll probably be a director of football maybe that we need. So whatever manager comes in, I'm hoping a bit similar like Villa, with Emery. He came in, very talented manager. They changed the director of football to what's his name, Munchie, isn't it? The Villa director of football, guys. I think.
Yeah, it was Munchie, but he moved up, and now they brought in.
Who is it now?
I can't remember. Somebody. Munchie's like he isn't I think he still works for the bigger club, the bigger organization that owns Villa, but he's not the director of football. He left.
But anyway, they align, don't they? The coach and the director of football align. They work together to improve the squad and give the manager what he wants. So
it's a guy named Roberto Olabi. He succeeded Monchi.
Okay, and I don't know, has he got a past relationship with Emery in other clubs? Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. But in any case,
it could be, because listen, Dan, the thing about Emery is that he only takes along people he knows personally and trusts very well. In fact, it was on that basis that he got Victor Lindelof to sign for the club. He had a chat with Juan Mata. And his number 2 is Paco Ayesteran, who used to work with Rafa Benitez. Obviously, Emery and Paco knew each other well. And it's like when you have that closeness in relationship, it just works brilliantly. Sorry for cutting in, by the way.
No, that's fine, man. It's interesting. So that needs to happen. I think the director of football and the manager have got to be working so closely together. That's the start, and it's all about just kind of where do Spurs go from here? What ideally we want to start challenging for Europe again. We want to start playing better football. We want to get up that league. We want to do so much better in these London derbies. There is dreadful for the last 3 seasons. Our London derby record is atrocious. So these are the sort of things that we can do now before even thinking about truly challenging anything in that league. You know, we've got to start from somewhere. Guys, lead on from that. Whoever wants to go.
Recruitment for me is a big deal, and the thing is, being a Spurs fan, you know this. When the summer transfer comes, January transfer comes in, la 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 la, because otherwise I'm just going to get really annoyed. Do I think Thomas Frank is the manager for us? No. Do I think he'll do better with better players? Yeah, but I don't think a lot. Where do we go from here? I'm just going to sit back and just watch it all unfold, mate. I'm just going to watch the shit show unfold. Because...
And Guy, just to interrupt you. And the biggest thing is ENIC need to clear off.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest part I missed there. But obviously, realistically thinking, I don't think they're going to sell. So unless the protests rank up, and they think I've had enough now, we've got to sell it. Realistically, I don't think they're going anywhere now. So what I'm thinking is what solutions in the short term, and changing director of football, changing the manager, massively improving recruitment.
I think they will. Yeah, I think they will. But here's the thing. I just don't. I honestly don't see it happening, though. I really don't. Call me a depressed Spurs fan, and I tend to get really depressed after I actually go to a game and see us get pamped. But I just, over the years, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I'll be somewhat quick on the first part, if that's okay. Look, we need ENIC out. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Like that's. I think what ideally would happen is we'd get somebody. Vinay can stay in his job as business communications guy. I think we need somebody to come in, whether it's a. Not my first choice, but if it's a Glenn Hoddle who just comes in, he isn't in charge of football decisions, but he's in charge of hiring the people that make the football decisions, or it's a Michael Edwards who is in charge of all the football decisions. We need somebody who's hiring a DOF, who's hiring a manager that knows about football, because right now I haven't seen that at our club, that we have people who are hiring people that know about football, right? I mean, Levy, whatever you think about him, he was clearly involved in football decisions. There's no doubt. We've heard him. He went to do negotiations and stuff. Like, that's what we need. We need somebody in charge of our football that knows about football. But what concerns me when we're talking about Frank going, as you said, like, these guys who we have at the club right now sat down. Last year, they sat down. They had time, right? This wasn't like it was a mid-season choice. They sat down, they evaluated everything that the club needed, all the options out there, and they decided that Frank was the right choice for them going forward, right? So whether, Dan, you and I can argue about it all the time, Mark and I might like Frank or not like Frank, Manny can tell us we're all crazy and Arsenal's the greatest, but the reality is the people that run our football club spent time all summer long. They had all the choice that they could do, and they came out and decided that Frank was the right guy. So if we sack Frank, if you want Frank out, is there any reason to think that when they now decide who's going to come in, that it's going to be a better choice? Like they had that choice, right? This wasn't oh no, we have to quickly grab somebody. They made their choice. They made their decision, and Frank was what they decided. So if we sack Frank, that's a concern that I do have. Is great. We sack Frank. Now these guys are going to come back. What kind of choice are they going to make? And even more so, I think Mark was alluding to it earlier, or maybe he said it straight out and I missed it. Sorry, Mark. But even if we say we want Glasner, when he says no, if we say we want Xavi Hernandez, like that's who I said at the top of my list of somewhat realistic options were Xavi Hernandez and Glasner. But I think those two, why would they touch us with a 10-foot barge? They don't want anything to do with us. So,
and that's a problem. It's a problem.
We can say what we want because I think everybody here wants Lange and Paratici out. Paratici's leaving anyways. I think everybody here thinks we need to get a proper football setup.
Yeah,
but
totally agree.
I don't even think that's possible. Like, what has Lang done? Honestly, he's done nothing to justify his position. He really hasn't. We can stretch. Mark and I are defending Frank. I think we both don't think he's done a great job, but we can find reasons why. You can't do that with Lang. There's nothing to do.
Nothing to defend,
right? And there's no talk about him leaving.
Man is failing upwards. Man is failing upwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
What are we doing? It's like working for a corporation. You know, one of those managers you see who doesn't know anything about his job, but for some reason, every year gets a promotion because he don't rock the boat, doesn't say anything bad, just gets on with it. And you're like, we're being managed. He's getting director. Wow. I'm perplexed with this man. I'm perplexed.
Exactly.
Absolutely perplexed.
Exactly. Good points, guys, man. Yeah, well said, Scott, Guy, as well. People in the chat, please, 119 people watching, please smash the like button. Thank you so much for all your comments. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you very, very much. And let's just kind of go about changing the manager now, and like I would. And Scott, your comment you made, I think it was this morning or last night, that you don't think there's any point, and you might as well just let Frank take the rest of the season and keep losing. I mean, there will be a point where he will be gone, Scott, won't it? You can't just keep losing and sliding down that table. Automatically will happen, whatever us fans think or want. Yeah, that will happen. Now, the advantage for me to change the manager, there's a lot. But Scott, you don't seem to think there's any point.
I mean, for a few reasons, right? Number one, who are we bringing in? So are we bringing in somebody just to last till the summer, and then they're going to definitely leave? My concern is that you get that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kind of situation where you bring him in to be your caretaker. Like if we bring somebody in, let's say we bring in, Michael Carrick. We bring Michael Carrick in, and we go from 14th to 10th, and people think the football looks better. And then we say, okay, now we're going to sign him for the next 3 years. And then he's not any, you know what, like you get, I'm worried about interim managers getting, because they're new, right? It's almost like the backup quarterback in American football. Everybody loves them because they hate the other guy so much, right? Oh, this other guy is like, we hate Frank. So the new guy comes in, gets us a marginal upgrade, and everybody's excited because they hate Frank so much, right? And then you get stuck, maybe the wrong word, but then we keep that guy on, and then that's not an improvement. The other way is that I don't know who are we getting. Like if somebody said there's a good option to come in, sure. Again, if Xavi Hernandez says I'll come in, I would sack Frank tomorrow. In part because I think Xavi Hernandez isn't coming in unless he has guarantees. Like he's not coming in unless players are coming in with him, right? Yeah. So if you said that, I would sack him. I'll go and sack him, right? I'll let him know you're sacked.
What's the first thing Xavi Hernandez is going to want from the board?
Players.
Yeah, it's players. So if that's what's happening, so I would be fine because I would know that he's not going to come in unless he's getting players. Like Harry Redknapp, I love him. He's fun. I think he's 75 years old now. It's not fair to him.
He's more into the horse racing now, mate. He's more into the horse racing now. He's quite happy with that, mate.
Got a bad heart or whatever.
As good as he is, he's not going to do a Martin O'Neill and transform Celtic in any way. No.
I would still take him, man. He's
one
so bad. I would take him.
I know one of the names gets floated around is Oliver Glasner, and that's fine. I mean, when this was like 2 seasons ago, and halfway through last season, people were asking me. I would have the old Borussia Dortmund, Eden Terzic or Terzic.
Well, why hasn't he got another job though? Since it's a bit worrying, isn't it? What is that all about? Why isn't he in work?
I don't know. But
people said he's a bit of a jerk.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if people loved work. I don't know. I'm not a Dortmund.
But I'm actually with this man here about interim managers. Honestly, I think if we bring in an interim manager, I don't think it's going to make a massive difference when it comes to our performance in the league. And to be honest,
Depends who it is.
Depends who it is. But we've got to realise. But what if we do get an interim? What if we do get an interim? Right? Don't worry who it is. Yeah, but whoever it is, right? And we get rid of Frank. What would be our expectations from that interim? Is it just a couple of places higher?
No, just try and push for Europe, man.
Oh, no chance, Dad. No chance.
The points are there to be won, Mark. There's a points gap. It's not big.
No chance.
If a manager comes in, gets 3 wins in a row, we're back up there, man.
No chance.
Manager. That's because you don't rate the players. That's why you think that, Mark. You don't rate the players. That's why you think that. I think the players are better. But Dad, I think we can push.
But we're in the predicament we are because we're in Europe. We haven't got the players for Europe, but you want us to get back in Europe again. It makes no sense.
Europa League, we're at that level. We won it last season.
We won it last year. Do you know why? Because it was the easiest Europa League ever to win.
Similar next season, mate.
Well, so it's going to be the same next season and the season.
Well, I don't think the reason why it won't be similar is that the 2 English teams that made it in were awful that year, right? So you're not likely to have 2 English Premier League teams to be as bad as Man United and we were that year.
Yeah, but you're probably going to have a manager comes in and improves the side. We get better signings, and that's what you got to pray for.
He's going off hope. I personally look. My expectations for this season, I didn't care about the trophies. Because I knew that we weren't winning one. I just knew we weren't. My aim for the beginning of the league was at least another European spot. Because Dan talked about it briefly. I was like, I'm quite happy to go back into the Europa and win it again. I don't mind that.
The league is crap, man. Look at all the crap teams in this league. But nothing's amazing other than the top 3, possibly 4.
But the manager's going to have to jump up 10 places from last year. 10 places.
But Mark, this season, the teams between 5th and 16th, there's 10, 12 points? The league's not great. It's any team that can pick up a run 2, 3 wins in a row.
We're great. I don't think
we've got a rubbish manager, man.
The manager's crap. And with our injuries as well, who's going to... I said this before, I said to Saba, who's scoring our goals? You look at our goal scoring record of all our players. How many goals have these people scored? Who's going to score the goals? We've got no goals.
Set up wrong, man. With the manager's terrible. If the club had any ambition, they'd go and buy the manager they want long term. They've got the money. You'd go out and get them. If the club had any ambition, you would do it, right?
Yeah,
and then this January, you would give them 2 players, 2 top players. That's what you have. That's what should happen.
You've just answered your own question. They need top players. Frank doesn't have them top players. If you don't have good players...
We have good players. I will argue all day we have good players. I'm sorry. We have. What we're seeing right now on that pitch is due to the manager and his tactics, in my opinion. We're better than this.
Okay.
When was the last time...
Let's go to Matt's question, and then, Scott, you can come in. Frank was built up as a master coach. All summer, people made out to be a master coach. Now he's clearly showing he is not. They are saying it's the players.
I never said he was a master coach, and I said it's a player. I don't know. What are we supposed to say to this? Mark and I said it was the players. All maybe Matt should ask the people that were saying that. And it's not meant to be rude to Matt.
But it weren't, Scott. It was the press, the people in the media.
Talking
that Frank is this master tactician.
We know people. We know people who were saying he's a big 6 killer. He's a tactical masterclass technician. One of my friends.
What do the press do? Wanted to buy papers. That's why they run stories like that.
But the thing is, we had our own people saying it. My mate Elijah, Too Much of E, did a 2-hour stream going through and debunking this whole he's a top 6 killer narrative. And the thing is, I get it, and it is frustrating because it wasn't just our fans as well. Remember, Ops fans were like saying, "Oh, they've got Thomas Frank. They might be scary this season." And I'm thinking, no, calm down.
Look, the
calm
club has
down.
failed.
Guy. Opposing fans will say whatever they want to try to, to sort of psych you off. And now you've learnt the lesson the hard way. You've always got to trust your instincts. It's as simple
I
as
always
that.
do, mate.
Do not let anyone gaslight you. Yeah, top fellas.
Especially Thomas Frank.
Look, the transfer window in this summer wasn't good enough, was it? I was happy with those 4 players, but it wasn't enough. It was not enough. We needed another left back. We needed a controller in the midfield. We do still need these players. We needed a left winger. We need a proper striker. Like, we do need, if we want to really, really challenge, we need those players. But I think the squad there is good enough to at least challenge for European positions, I think, what it's there now. Obviously, injuries is going to affect it, of course. But the manager's tactics, man, worst I've seen since Santini. Look, let's move this on. We've got a couple more points left. Let me bring up the next section about comparisons and expectations. And we're kind of touched on it, haven't we, in and out. But let's go over it, and I'll go over this point. Where is it now? Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, which has been Thomas Frank all night. Thomas Frank followed a manager who had a clear philosophy, had fans back in early, played front foot football. So far or not, comparisons were going to be, they were going to be made to Ange, especially the fans who really liked Ange. But instead of building on momentum, Spurs look like they've gone backwards. Difference doesn't mean to be worse, but right now it does. And why? And that's why patience is running out. Put aside the Europa League winner side. League and domestic cup competitions wise, this season is worse or on par than last season. So, guys, anybody want to comment on that about comparisons and expectations?
One word: it's worse.
It's worse. Why, Guy?
It's just worse. This time, quick one. This time last year, right? I was at the stadium when we were playing Man United in the Carabao Stadium, man. Not Carabao Stadium, Carabao Cup at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Okay, you can say Son. We've lost Son. Okay, cool. But it wasn't even playing that well that season. But we have been playing worse in these domestic cup runs and these and the Premier League. It's just worse.
And he's got players.
I don't think it's worse.
He's got players. No. He got 4 signings. I know 2 are on loan, and we got worse. And we've got our defence. Last season, we lost a lot of our defence for most of the season, and we're still not defending any better. It's mental.
We didn't get out Tamworth last season. We couldn't beat Tamworth in 90 minutes last season.
So, Mark, is it worse last season compared to this season to you?
No, I think we both games we played, Newcastle away, no chance, and Villa, bang, game over. When we faced a decent Liverpool team, it was game over. We played a terrible Coventry side and just scraped through. And then we faced a bang average Man United side and got through. So when we do place good teams like Villa and Newcastle, we're out. But
you think it's par then, Mark? On par than last season?
We've been here before. We've lost to Middlesbrough and played to people like that in the Cups and gone out. So for me, as soon as that draw came out and it was Villa, we were going to lose.
So you think it's the same? Both seasons are crap?
Yeah, I think as soon as we face a decent side, we're out.
Okay. Yeah. That's what we saw with Ange, right? The same thing. We faced Fulham, out. Faced Villa, out. Faced Liverpool, out. The same thing this year. We faced Newcastle, out. Villa, out. I don't know, like, just because last year we got better draw early on, right? That's the only reason why we went further is because, like Mark said, we got Tamworth and we got Coventry, and then this year we got Doncaster, right? So like when we face the weak teams, we beat those weak teams, and then the same as last year, when we face good teams, we can't beat them. So I think the domestic cup certainly is the same. I think we can say, oh well, we went further, but if you look at why we went further, it kind of is the same thing, right? Both cases, whenever we face a good team in the cup, we can't beat them.
Okay, so you're on par. Guy thinks it's worse. Manny will go. Manny, do you think it's worse? Spurs this a worse Spurs side this season than last?
I'm with Guy, definitely. I mean, because Mark obviously is quite right to talk about the Tamworth game when you say you couldn't beat them in extra time, but it's the FA Cup. Macclesfield knocked out the defending champions this season, a non-league team beating a Premier League team who also happened to be the cup holders. That's just the nature of the cup, I would say. And was the performance good? No, I wouldn't say so. I couldn't see the game, but I don't think the performance was that good. But when you consider the results that you were getting last season and how this season things haven't really come to plan, it has to be worse because at the end of the day, it's a results business. And I think I will also probably say right now, when you got drawn with Aston Villa to play in the FA Cup in the third round, which was yesterday, of course, I actually thought to myself, Villa have had a wonderful, a magnificent run this season after a horrible, horrible start. They won several games, but with injuries perhaps starting to come into the picture, I thought this could be an opportunity for Spurs to maybe beat a Villa side for whom, quite simply, the FA Cup might not necessarily be a priority. Unai Emery can say otherwise, but with the squad limitations that they have due to PSR, they can't even spend as much money as they would like. Whether or not they're going to get cover for some players, and especially with some players getting injured, will remain to be seen. So I think you might actually look at yesterday's game as a bit of a missed opportunity, because if you had applied yourselves, you could have put Villa under some pressure, especially with Camera going off. I told you that would have been an opportunity to,
Why? We haven't beaten Villa for how long? Why?
Why is it? It's a massive game, Mark. The players got to show up. They've got to turn up. They've got to do more.
Why would we have beaten Villa? Why? I'm asking why. We haven't beaten them for how many games? When was the last time we beat Villa?
I can't remember the exact date, but we have beaten Villa before. We have beaten Villa before.
But did we really think...
Ange beat Villa, didn't he? I think Ange beat Villa, didn't he?
Yeah, 4-1 in the league last season. I remember. I did see that game.
With the same players.
So
extra players.
Okay, then. So we beat them once in 5, 6, whatever it is.
I would have to go and have a look at the stats. But we have beaten Villa in the last few years.
I would have been probably more confident beating Man City than I would have been Villa at home.
Look, Matt's made another point here. He said, look at Emery's transformed players like Cash, Konsa, McGinn, Mings. It's so important that a coach improves players, and Frank's not improving anyone.
So it's not that those guys are good players. It's Emery just made them.
He's made them better. They made them to better players.
But why doesn't Pep just take us 5 guys and make us into amazing players?
Yeah.
If it's just coaching.
Yeah.
Like, do we not
because
think
they've got the money to go and pick better players, ready-made players who are there, ready to go, Man City.
Like, I think those guys have more talent than the players we have.
Who, those players that in that, what Matt said?
Yeah, I mean, Cash and Konsa and Konsa, McGinn and Mings, they were actually a part of that Villa team that were in the Championship and fighting to get back under Dean Smith. And they've been pretty much there almost the whole way through. Yeah. And they were decent, players. But under Emery, of course, Konsa has come on leaps and bounds. He's now an England regular. McGinn was always a Scotland international, and now he's playing some of the best football in his career. Mings, I think, has a bit of a new lease of life after Steven Gerrard very nearly, ended it, snuffed it out. And Cash, although he does have a few bozo moments as a defender, he has also evolved into a really fast wing back who can overlap beautifully and has a great shot on him. But the reason why I say it was an opportunity is because when Villa have players injured, they sometimes tend to, suffer a little bit. They suffered when they lost Amadou Onana against us, and he was one of the members of the engine room. Camara also is one of their most important players. So if, I will say right now that had the team been coached a little bit better, had they come out with a lot more intent from the get-go, had they shown the same intent in the second half as they did in the beginning, I think it would have been a very different story, and Spurs could probably have beaten Villa. So that has to be a missed opportunity. And now, as it stands, Villa, yes, they're through, but now they've got these injuries, increasing. They don't know how they're going to cover them, and so they're not going to win the league, but they will get Champions League football. It'll be by, they'll as in 2004, they'll just, puff and pant and
well
just
ahead of us
haul
now,
themselves over the line.
They are well ahead of us right now. They are.
They are well ahead, but that's a different matter. But I'm just saying right now that there will be times when, after a great run, they will start to suffer, and this could have been an opportunity. As it stands, they're through to the next round. We'll find out who they're playing tomorrow.
But Manny, they played a better starting lineup than us with a stronger bench. So why would we? I'm confused. Like, maybe sure we should have done it, but they had better players than us. Why would we expect to beat them if they had better players on their bench and starting?
Teams lose, even though teams lose when they have better players. Though teams also can lose when they have better players,
and teams can definitely lose when important players get injured and have to be replaced. And you can't just underestimate how important Camara is to the Villa team. Ask any Villa fan.
Like important players like Romero that we were missing yesterday.
I think
I've always considered
been a
Romero
solid
to be
cover. Danso's not really put much wrong, has he? When he's come in and covered, I think he's been pretty solid. Nothing spectacular.
I agree. And I think if you keep Mickey van der Ven, he should be your long-term captain. Get rid of the Argentine. He's a bit of a liability.
Guys, this question here, Richard James, how do we explain this one? Player stats have regressed under Frank. How? Why are they all as a collective regressed? Surely that's the manager, right? We're not talking two or three, 4, 5. All players' stats have gone down. That's a coaching issue, right?
Richie's got more goals this year, so his stats haven't regressed.
He's probably about on course, isn't he, really?
Richie's got more goals
tell about the same level of production, right?
Other than him?
But Odegaard and Tell, their production is the same as we saw from last year. It's not regressed, is it?
No, but the actual stats are, this is true. They've got worse.
They're worse on the eye as well.
What's the stats? Passing? What stats?
Everything. They've all got. It's all worse. No, all the players are.
But not everything.
Well, most. How do you answer that? Someone, please.
I can't.
But again, so which stats though? Because like I said,
Richard James in the chat, mate. Could you bring up the Pacific stats? That would help us.
Yeah.
Like I think the problem is we make a general comment like that, and it's kind of hard because some stats have, some stats haven't. So how can we say why? Like, it's just hard to answer it if he's saying something specific. Like if you say why is our passing stats, for example, then we can address passing. But if you said why are some other stat,
let's see, Scott. Right? Let's see what he comes back with. It's fair point. I get that. And it's just I keep bringing Matt's comments up. Sorry, but he has a point. Like Villa were bottom 3 under Gerrard. Emery comes in and he picks them up. So why hasn't Frank come in and picked this lot up? And he was given players. Spurs spent money. He was given Kudos. He was given Xavi. He was given Mawani. Given Paulinho. Most fans across social media were happy with those 4.
I mean, he has picked us up because we're not 17th, but
the football is.
He's picked us up from where we were, and again, we're not that far off.
Not one bit of improvement. Not one from this manager. Nothing.
Not one what?
Not one bit of improvement. We're watching this every week. It stinks.
But those are two different things. It can stink and be better than last year. Right? Like that's like I would say this. And again, when I know Guy's losing his mind, I would say we're better than last year. The problem is last year shouldn't be the bar. Right. So we could be better than last year and it not be close to good enough.
Man, it's crazy. At the end of the day, we're all unhappy, aren't we? Like,
that's my.
I'd just like to ask this question right now. I know a lot of you are going to say that yes, it's better than last year. Of course, it's going to be better than last year. 17th was unacceptable, and everyone, even the Ange inners, the people who wanted him to stay, agree that the league form was terrible. I mean, you can say that it is better in many ways, but there's a different metric to better. It's like saying, it's not just enough to say that people.
Manny, what's better? Nothing's better, man.
I'll come to that. I'm going to come to that. Dan, please allow me to articulate myself.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not like other Arsenal fans who are going to come over here and slag off Spurs and big up Arsenal. That's not why I come on here. If you've seen me with Eugene on his stream many times,
you wouldn't be allowed.
That is not how I run. Exactly. I'm glad you accepted that. Yeah. So what I'm going to say is there is a yardstick to sort of how you would define better. You cannot simply say that a society is prosperous because the majority of the people are living above the poverty line or above the breadline, as we would say back in England. Because how far above the breadline are we living? Are those people living? And I'm also going to say right now, yes, anything is better than 17th, but is it really that much better to make people want to, be happy with Spurs with the team again? Is it really that much better to get our guy to buy back his season ticket? Hell no. If he says it's worse, he's not going to buy a season ticket again. Absolutely not. So I would say right now that although statistically, yes, it may be better, anything is better than 17th, but then it is 17th and a European trophy. You've also got to have that caveat. And there are no trophies this season. I don't even know if you're going to get back into the Champions League or even in European football. So by that metric, in many ways, it can be a lot worse. The only thing you can do right now is hope that you will go on a run, try and finish as high in the table as you possibly can, and get back into Europe either via the Conference League or the Europa League. Otherwise, I'm going to say right now, it is a failure. And there's a reason why a lot of people are saying that you lot had a better season than us. Yes, you finished 17th, we finished second. But as another famous Arsenal YouTuber once said, there's no difference between finishing second and finishing 17th. Yes, we get into the Champions League.
Manny, as a neutral, well, not neutral because you're an Arsenal fan, is that on the players or is that on the manager?
It could be a combination of both. But as someone rightly said,
percentages?
If Emery was able to come in and take a group of solid, dependable players who have that fight about them, who have some quality about them, and bring them to a higher level, then there's no reason why Frank shouldn't have been able to do it. And Frank was so heavily touted. That blame has to lie on the manager, the people who brought him in, and the players.
But with Matt's question, how have Villa done it? They haven't bought kids in, have they? They've bought experienced pros, Tillemans and Kamara, both on free.
So was Frank. He's bought an experienced pro.
Hang on. Both that our fans said were rubbish and didn't want. John McGinn, our fans said not good enough for Spurs, but Bergvall and Gray is. So which one is it? Villa didn't buy kids. They bought experienced pros. We just keep buying kids.
But if we look at Frank, we have bought in 4 experienced players. A couple of them are not Premier League experienced.
How many Villa bought? How many teenagers did Villa buy?
I don't know.
Well, recently now, mind you, sir, they have been forced to buy a few teenagers, including one from Brazil, because now they can't spend too much money. Last season, they got Rashford and Asensio only on loan, and they weren't going to be able to keep them. So I get what you're saying when people are obviously Aston Villa had to look very carefully to buy some experienced players, but they also had an even more difficult job because they couldn't even spend a single penny. And you lot, in comparison, had money to burn. But even now, even now, Aston Villa have also brought their share of kids into the team. Andres Garcia being one of them. They buy a lot of kids as well.
They're not starting. We've got 5 or 6 teenagers starting every week. Villa don't do that.
No, they're not. You're right, Mark. They don't. Look,
they don't.
They don't. You're right.
But then last season you had Bergvall and Gray starting because you had so many injuries. That's the reason why.
They should be starting. That's what I'm saying.
Manny, is it possible that when Unai Emery took over Aston Villa, they had a different squad than the squad that Frank is taking over, and that the squad that Unai Emery took over was much more capable of doing things than the squad that Frank is taking over?
We'd have to look at that, Scott. That's a good one to look at. I like that one.
Like I'm just saying, like
right now.
We haven't got time tonight, but it's a good one. Scott, I like that. Well, it's a good one to look at.
But again, we look at where they were. I said 8th to 10th for this team at the start of the year if everything goes right.
We're not going to be there.
It comes down to expectation. So I don't expect much out of this squad. It's not a good squad.
We ain't got too much longer, right? I just want to make this comment. Internet vegetable makes me laugh. All Frank can do with shit players is make them more effective. Now, guys, let's just go to the final part of the show. I've got to pop away for 2 minutes. So I'm gonna leave you to get stuck into, right? This is going to finish the show off naturally, a natural way about kind of looking forward, what's going to happen with Frank. Okay, so short term.
It's going to be handbags at dawn without you, Dan. I hope you know that.
I'll be back in 5 minutes. I just got to get my little ones up. I think Frank survives the next few games. Okay, so he hasn't been sacked. I've seen stuff today that he's not going. Yeah, he's going to be here. Right, the next how many games we don't know, depends on results, I guess. And he's got a few winnable fixtures coming up. So obviously sacking him is going to cost what I saw a figure today, 20 million. Right. The board don't want to sack him because it will look like they've made the wrong decision. They'll look bad. There's no obvious replacement lined up. Obviously, nobody can come up with a name. I've been hearing it for weeks and weeks. Sack Frank, who's going to come in? Sack Frank, who's going to come in? There's good managers out there. As I said, if the club had any ambition, they could go and get one. But that's my opinion. But so if Spurs continue to drop points, keep losing at home, and continue to not have any clear identity on the football pitch, I just don't see he survives beyond the next month. I really don't. I think if we can't get results against West Ham, Burnley, and I know you all guys have seen that February-March run, that will kill Frank itself, that run. It is very, very difficult. So how many games should Thomas Frank be given at this point? And I'll leave that with you lot to get stuck into, and I'll be back in 5.
Oh, how many games has he got?
We have till the end of the year.
Yeah, I honestly, a lot of people have been asking me, like, here's the thing, Frank in or out. At this moment, I don't think he's going. But the problem is, here's the thing, if we draw at that, even draw that West Ham game, it's going to be insane. It is just going to be, I think people are just going to be Frank out, mate, because West Ham, this is the worst West Ham side I've seen in the last 20 years, right? And I hate West Ham. Manny knows this. I hate West Ham. I've got a personal problem with them. And we've seen them take 3-0 from Wolves, right? If we even draw that game, I don't think he'll have any fan support. I don't think he'll have any fan support. If he loses it, ooh, that's going to be dark. But yeah, I think if he keeps this up, because we've got more draws than IKEA. We've had more draws than IKEA this season. If he continues just to draw games, do a one-up win here and there, but still doesn't win at home till the end of the season, it's going to be peak. It's going to be dark. It's going to be really dark. And the transfer window's still not closed, and I'm not got any hope for the transfer window. But I do think he's going to get to the end of the season. I do, because I don't think the board will sack him at this point. I don't think they will. They'll only sack him if he loses every game from now to the end of the season. It's over. It's over for him. There's no way coming back from that.
Guy, did you see who Villa are trying to get in midfield?
Nope.
Conor Gallagher.
Okay.
So that's the levels that we should be going for, but there's nothing but Villa is.
I don't really rate Conor Gallagher. I watch La Liga, and he's okay. He's okay at best.
Miles better than what we have. Frank's got one game. If he loses West Ham, he's done. He'll turn too toxic. He's a stressed out man as it is now. He's aged 20 years.
Have you noticed in his presence? He's so depressed.
He's gone. West Ham, he loses, he's gone.
I agree with Guy. I think it'll be horrible in the fan base. But unless he gets us actually relegated, I don't think there's anybody there to sack him. Like, Paratichi's leaving. Lang is not his best friend, but they are, somewhat buddies. It seems like they have a relationship. And as we talked about earlier, does Lang seem like a guy that really is ready to make a big move, like sacking someone? Like, he seems like he just wants to quietly move along. Hey, we're good. Let's not rock any boats. Let's keep the thing going. Vinay just came in. The board just came in. I think the board is more worried about setting them up for potential sale, if that's what's happening on. I think the football field, they just want it as long as there's nothing crazy. I mean, if it gets to the point where we are 3 games left and we're relegated, I think they'll sack him then. But I don't think, and it's not because of anything he does. I think it's
We
just
won't get relegated this season. We won't get relegated.
I don't think it'll happen. But I always put that in just because it's like, or if he does something,
shits and
like,
gigs.
because what'll happen is Frank will something will come up and he'll get sacked. And you said he'd never get sacked. Okay, the insane things. He does something crazy that you have to sack him. Yeah. But based on football results, I think that in large part because of how we are structured, what's going on with the club right now. Again, Paratici's leaving. We're such a chaos. I think that I don't really sure who's going to make that call to sack him. Like, I don't want Levy back, but when Levy was here, you knew he was the one he would make that decision. I don't know if we have somebody right now. I don't think Charrington, who's a banker, is going to decide if we keep the manager or not. I'm not sure Vinay has the power to make that decision. I don't think that Lang wants to make that decision. I think if Paratici was here, he might. And if you believe some of the reports, part of the reason why he's leaving is because he wanted to sack him and couldn't. So I think Frank will hold out in large part because we don't have a strong voice above him to make those kind of football decisions.
And another problem is, what player wants to come and play for this right now, where no one's getting better? We're 14th in the league, out of domestic cups, nothing's improving. It's going to be a real struggle trying to encourage a player to come, isn't it?
Come to Spurs, you'll get booed every week. You'll be instantly hated because you haven't got instant results.
And even if the club had been putting in bids early January, that's a distraction for the fan base away from the issue with Thomas Frank. We're not seeing that. We're just bringing in a 20-year-old left back, 19-year-old left back.
There's no bids. There's no Lookman's off to Fenerbahce or somewhere like that. They've already put in bids for him, $1.5 million. So that's another one we've lost. I've just received a tweet from Spurs Web, if I could say that, on about another Brazilian 18-year-old that we're scouting again. We have no interest in proper professionals at this club.
So the board said in the summer they want sporting success. The Lewis family rebranded ENIC. They want sporting success. What's going on? Where is the ambition in this window so far? What, with the 11th of January? Yeah. Where is the bids? What is going on? What is the plan? It's pathetic, isn't it? Put aside Thomas Frank issue, right? It's an issue, whatever. Yeah. What is going on with the recruitment? Is Paratici going, guys? Have we received confirmation he's gone?
He's gone. Ornstein said he's gone.
When was that? Today?
To help us out.
Today, yeah, about 2 or 3 hours ago.
Okay.
Savage put out a video already.
He's gone. Okay. So any message from the club that they're replacing him? Anything?
Well, he's staying for the window and then he's leaving at the end of the window.
Okay, so he's yes, it's mental, isn't it? It's.
Do you remember the YouTube video with Johan Lange and Paratici just sucking each other off? They were just sucking each other off.
And why do you think he's gone, guys? Why has Paratici left?
Because he couldn't have 2 number ones.
No, I know that, but they hired 2 number ones. So do you just think he just doesn't want to? Why did he agree to it if he knew that was a situation?
I think because he didn't have anything else. He was waiting.
Yeah.
And now he's got an opportunity to go to Fiorentina, so he's like, okay, I'll take it. There's talk about he has a girl, maybe he wants to go back to Italy. But I think if he was the number one undisputed, he had full control over everything at Spurs, I have a hard time believing he's leaving for Fiorentina that has 1 win, maybe not even 1 win in Serie A right now.
Terrible.
And are almost assuredly going down to Serie B next year. I think he's not leaving Spurs, even if he hates Frank.
Do you think it's nothing to do with that? He wanted Frank out, and the other guy said they don't. Is there any disagreement
I think
around
that? That's what I mean. He doesn't have full control, right, Dan? That's part of it. I think if he wanted to get rid of Frank and he didn't, that could be part of it. I don't think it was like I only want to get rid of Frank. I think there's other things about it, but that probably came into play. Yeah.
So did we get anywhere with that question about how many games do we think Frank should be given to prove himself?
I gave him 1. West Ham. If he loses against West Ham, it's game over.
Yeah, because here's the thing, Dan. Here's the thing. As a match-going fan, and I won't be going to any bloody matches for the rest of the season because I just won. I was there with olds and young. We're all saying the same thing, right? A lot of them have got season tickets, so they go in just to not lose their season ticket, right? But it is, if we lose West Ham, the fans will turn on him like that. If he doesn't get consistent results till the end of the season, by the end of the season, everyone would have turned on him. Even if we draw, it's not even a loss to West Ham. Even if we draw at West Ham, right? And we play like we played against, like, what was that other team? Brentford. I keep forgetting their name, man. Do you know Brent? I never watched a game of Brentford in my life, and until Thomas Frank came here. And I'm no Brentford expert, but my God, I never want to watch them again. Anyway, but yeah, I think even if he draws against West Ham, right, it's going to be dark times,
I can't
man.
even judge that one, man. I can't even look at it to judge that one. That game it's got to be 3 points, even with that bad. They're awful. So let's look at the fixtures coming up, guys. Let's look at the fixtures. I haven't got them all here. I've only got a few coming up here. That doesn't even cover them. Yeah, hold on. We've got West Ham.
I've got the BBC.
Saturday.
I've got the BBC page, Dan, where you can actually go even further. Further into the month of February, if you like.
Yeah, that's the more interesting one. So look, okay,
we're
let's
not beating Dortmund,
and then we'll go to
we're not beating Dortmund.
He's got extra fixtures. So we've got West Ham. We should have enough to beat them. We've got that Champions League crucial game against Dortmund. I mean, the way we're playing doesn't give me a lot of hope. Away to Burnley. I mean, I'm not even confident we could beat them away, to be honest, right now. Who's confident we could get anything there?
Who's
I'm sitting on my hands, Dan. I'm sitting on my hands. I'm not raising my
We're going to
hands.
smash Burnley.
Who's the other Champions League games? It's Stuttgart.
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, sorry. I don't think we'll win that.
Yeah. And what's interesting, of course, is that game will actually be a repeat of last season's quarterfinal, where you actually went to Eintracht and got that 1-0 win, which took you to the semi-final against Bodo Glimt, and the rest is history. And I can also tell you right now, gentlemen, that after that game against Frankfurt, you will be having a home tie against Manchester City. So, with your permission, Dan, let me share the screen.
Share them, yeah.
Anton Semenyo scores again, mate. Anton Semenyo scores again. I swear that's why they bought him. They saw him score us against us, and it was like, oh, we can now beat Tottenham.
Right.
Here we go.
Right. So the 1st of February, because Frankfurt will actually end the month of January. Okay. And then once you get into February, you've got a home tie against Manchester City, an away day at old and rickety Trafford, who have even worse problems than you. They got knocked out today by a Brighton side by Fletcher's former teammate, Danny Welbeck. And they've actually got an interim manager, mind you. So how you perform against them will also be a very big litmus test, because they're a club in probably an even worse existential crisis than you. Existential crisis. Sorry for the bad enunciation. Then, of course, a home game against Newcastle. And, of course, the big North London derby near the end of the month. And then on the 1st of March, it's against Fulham. So these are not very friendly fixtures for you. I think you can all agree with that. And for me personally, if you were to take a look at the 2 European fixtures, which are both against German opposition, I did mention, why are we down to 4?
We lost
anyway.
Mark, have we? Hold on.
Hopefully he'll sign back in. Yep, here he is. So what I would say is as well, the one thing, of course, which, gave Ange a bit of goodwill is, despite the league position, despite the eventual exits from the FA Cup and Carling Cup, the League Cup, I should say, were the team's European form. Now, it would have been expected at the beginning of the campaign that you could have qualified for the knockout stages automatically in the top 8. But now I can tell you in the table that you are behind Liverpool. You've got 11 points. And it's not even going to be a guarantee that you will even make it into the automatic section. So if those European results dictate that you will have to go into a playoff, I can't see Spurs progressing from there, I'm afraid. And that could very well be the time when you might have to consider that Frank will go. But I think I'm actually going to be the tiebreaker here and say, and I agree with both Guy and Scott, that for no other reason except for the board not to be willing to admit that they made a mistake, they'll keep Frank until the end of the season unless things really go pear-shaped, and I do not see that happening. I think West Ham,
February. It'll go pear-shaped in February. February, March. We will lose most of those games if we continue to play this badly. No, am I wrong?
It could be, but again, one of the reasons why Andrew was kept on is because it also got to a stage where mathematically you had no chance of being relegated, no matter how awful the bottom three are. I can tell you that Wolverhampton are cut adrift. Burnley and West Ham are certainly no better, and there's a 7-point gap between West Ham and Nottingham Forest, and you are on 27 points. So while you do have a point where you say that things could get bad, Nottingham Forest right now are absolutely dying. They hired Dyche and had a few wins and were saying, oh, everything's rosy in the garden. And they got knocked out of the FA Cup by a championship team. Maybe they have a chance of progressing in the Europa League. I don't know. I think things are going to get tough for them. But the way they've been performing of late in the league, except against an equally dire West Ham team, they've been absolutely awful. So it could very well be, Dan, as you say, that it could be by mid or the end of February, you could be forced into sacking him. But I still will predict that he will stay until the end of the season and then get his P45. I think things are now going to have to get even worse than they are now for everyone to agree that the Frank experiment was an absolute failure. There were several people like myself who believed that it wouldn't work from the start. I didn't think he was going to be suited to the job. I thought he was just going to be another Graham Potter. And that's sadly how it's worked out. But I think he will stay until the end of the season because I don't think things are going to be that bad that you'll be drawn into a dangerous relegation battle. I don't think it's going to get that bad.
Okay. We're going to shut it down in a second. Final thoughts from everybody tonight, and big up to you all for coming on and having this good old ding dong about Thomas Frank.
It's all love. It's all love. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it is. Everyone's got their opinion. Fair enough to everyone. It's good to have debate. I enjoyed it. At the end of the day, we're all miserable as Spurs fans. All we want is the club to be better. We can argue and squabble over managers, players.
Well, you saw my video after the game, didn't you? I sent you my video after the game. That's why I can't be a YouTuber.
Yeah. Very true, very true. But yeah, so it is what it is. Really, we'll have to see what happens. I just hope that protest. There's good numbers come out against the West End before the West End game. I hope their club pull out something out the bag in the transfer window, and that's all we can look at the moment. It's diabolical, isn't it? What's happening with our club? It is. Final thoughts, anyone, before we shut down?
It's all right. I've already packed my Spurs shirts in a vacuum packed sealed bag, man, for next season, so it's all good.
Anybody want to say anything else?
I'll just say, I think at the end of the day, like at the start, it kind of seems with the way we made our percentages, Guy and I were on opposite sides of things, but we actually agreed, I think, on most. And I think that shows at the realistically, no matter what your thoughts are, most fans think neither Frank is good enough nor the players are good enough. I don't think there's anyone who really has, or there's always, some outliers, but for the most part, Spurs fans don't think the players are good enough, and Spurs fans don't think Frank is good enough. So we can argue about what percentage each is responsible for, but I think most fans want an upgrade on both, and I think more than anything we want to upgrade on the ownership and the management above the players and Spurs. So like you said, we can have our debates. Is it 75% Frank or 75% players? But I think we all kind of agree we want better from every part of Spurs, and that's the sad thing, is that we all want better, and a lot of these problems that we see are clear to see. We should be fixing it. When you talked about
Look how far we've fallen in 10 years. Look how far we've fallen in 10 years.
Well, just we're talking about the transfer window. We're saying we're not doing any business. It's not like, Manny's Arsenal where they have to think about, well, we don't really have a lot of holes. What should we do? It's hard to think about what you need to do to add to them.
Do you know who they're linked with now?
Our issues are.
Do you know who else linked with now? Guayi.
I don't want to hear it.
Guayi.
He's not coming to Arsenal. He's not coming to Arsenal,
man. It's depressing enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's not talk about them. We've got so many problems.
So at the end,
I
just
can't
think,
face it.
we all want better. That's the overall. That's the overall thing. We all want better. No matter where it comes from, we want better.
Yeah, fair point, Scott. Very fair points. And look, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for all your comments.
If I could also say one thing as well, just to sort of round it off as someone who's not neutral, but otherwise, I would say, going back to what guys said about how far you'd fallen in 10 years, during those years under Pochettino, you also made us a laughing stock. You were finishing above us in the league. You were doing so much better than us. And all those idiots who were mocking you when, you just missed out on Champions League football in 2006, that was the day St. Tottenham's Day was born. That was the day when the standards of the Arsenal fan base died. And I will say, without digressing, when we as Arsenal fans come up against a strong Tottenham team, you lot do tend to bring out the best in us. And we always look forward to the North London derbies more than anything else. And even back in the day, even in the 80s, in the 90s as well, to some extent, we always look forward to them. I only hope that things are going to improve. And I only hope that, this season in many ways should now be a watershed. Because when you see the consequence of, poor decisions by the board and poor recruitment and how things shouldn't be run as a football club and how football clubs are more than just glorified hedge funds. They are institutions with fans who are stakeholders who want to see things get better. And anyway, I'm going to ignore that little comment. I know who he was talking to. I will say this. Hopefully, this will be a watershed where you start to realize that now you've hit rock bottom and things are not better than are not going to be better than they were last season. And unless there will be some structural changes from the top to the bottom and everywhere in between, things are not going to get better. And so I wish you good luck, and I hope things will get better for you. And I will offer you this caveat. If we do bottle the league this season, you're welcome to tease us again as many times as you like.
Cheers, Manny. Cheers, man. Look, big up to everyone watching. Thank you so much. If you could really smash that like button, and that'd be much appreciated. And yeah, subscribe if you're new here. Again, thank you, Guy. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Manny. And thank you for Billy coming on earlier as well. That, times are at an all-time low with Spurs right now, and it's depressing stuff. But, it's great to come on and chat about it all. And yeah, the next game will come around. West Ham at home. And that's it, really. I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but we'll see what drama or fallout happens from that game. Good night, everyone. Thanks again. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all soon. Good night.
Dan just took himself out and didn't end the show.
Yeah.
So we're going for 7 hours?
Yeah, why not do 7 hour stream? No effing and blinding, Manny. I know you love a good